computer? Yeah, no.
What?
Your computer runs Windows 10, and as far as being able to upgrade to Windows 11, when I ran a health check on the system, your processor looked at me and laughed.
But it said, I
I
don't
got it
think
from the
so.
dudes next door. I didn't know what was on.
Right, no, yeah, the system said, yeah, your processor will not handle Windows 11. You have to put in a whole new processor. So yours can't be upgraded. And then the third one that Brett sent me won't even turn on now. It won't even click on at all. No power at all. So,
We have a guy, he's just on vacation.
okay.
Do you
But-
know when Jim's coming back?
I thought he said this week.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing anything on there.
But as it sits right now, I've got Windows 11 on what can have Windows 11, and everything else is enrolled in the updates. So I will get security updates for Windows 10.
I know, but the problem still with that is that you're not going to get any tech support if you had any problem.
Yeah, if I have any problems, I'm screwed. But
Because I'd really like corporate to come through and put on Z Drive, but I can't do that.
yes, you can.
I can't have corporate do that.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
They won't.
10. They're not touching it.
They won't if you have a software issue, but they can open up and run a Z drive.
They're not going to do that because they don't support 10.
Right. They don't support it, which means if you have an error in 10, tech support will not go in and fix your error.
Yeah,
but
well.
if you want Z drive put on there, they'll put it on there. I've got Z drive on all of mine, and they were
Yeah.
all 10s.
Yeah, back when they were supporting 10.
Right. They will back. Well, I'll find out because Monday I'm calling. Monday I'm going to call and have them because I've swapped out machines. I'm going to call and have them reshoot out or make sure that all four of my machines have the Z drive that they can actually reach.
Well, I'd be like to know what the result of that is. That'd be great.
Because I've got. Because I mean, my base drive is the processing computer. So, and everything pushes out from the processor.
Well, and I've got the same thing. My processor's at least 11.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have to support the software to create a Z drive and put it on a Windows 10 computer. They're just saying that if, for whatever reason, your computer crashes, don't call us to fix it. Go buy a new one.
Well, I could still see them making the argument. It's like, no, you got 10. Sorry, we're not going to help. We told you. Go buy an 11. So I'll be curious to see what they tell you.
Because they told me this when I was having problems with mine, they told me that my computers were so old we just needed to upgrade them. And I told Brett that that's what corporate what corporate said last year. They just needed to upgrade them, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." But they still pushed everything out to all of my computers.
Well, that's the other thing is, yeah, everything here needs to be upgraded. I mean,
It does.
they're all 15 years
I
old.
need upgraded.
Next year, they no longer qualify for the child tax credit. That's how old they are.
Yeah.
They can start driving next year.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh. They are fully depreciated this year too.
Yeah, for Brett.
For Brett, yeah.
They've been fully depreciated now twice.
Yes. Once for Bob and once for Brett.
Yeah, but at least we could have got paper cheaper through Bob. It pens.
Yeah, he spent more. He had a better handle on where to look.
I thought that's what he sold though in his he
Well,
was
that
retired
too.
from that, too.
But he would also buy it through Vistaprint, or
Oh.
But he might have had connections from before.
Plus, I'm sure he probably used his Z funds too, because you get X amount of dollars worth of Z
Because
funds.
he was through the school or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh.
Superior Schools.
Yeah.
question. There, Monday when I was looking, there was a text message on Stillwater's office number, and it was a guy asking about his loan. And I messaged him back and told him sorry for the inconvenience, but this office is closed.
I just wish you would have told them to call the store because the loan side's still open.
He has been.
Oh, well then, yeah, the tax side's closed, so yeah.
But the loan side at Stillwater is still open?
Yes,
Okay.
he just didn't want to go through because the loan side is owned by corporate.
Okay.
And
okay.
they weren't playing nicely with him. So like when he wanted to run extended hours,
All right. I will text him back. I will text him back
the
and,
tax side is closed.
and tell him that the tax side that
That
this goes to the tax side of the Stillwater office. It is closed. The loan side for his loan is
Yeah.
open. He would need to get a hold of them.
yeah, he needs to contact them.
He needs to contact them by phone.
Yeah.
Because he was like, well, who do I get my loan service through? I'm like, well, you wouldn't have gotten it serviced through Liberty Tax anyway.
No, he's on the loan side.
Yeah.
So, congratulations, it's the last day.
Woohoo!
You're now smarter than Albert Einstein.
Uh-uh.
Well, he seems to think that this was impossible. The rest of the quote actually says you need a philosopher.
Well, but yes, and that is true. Trying to understand how and why they do things with income tax is one of the hardest things in the world. There's when people ask questions, a lot of times we're like, that's just the way it works. You can't explain why it works that way. That's-
Because Congress said so.
exactly. You can't quantify it, but it works this way because that's what they said.
So first and foremost, let's talk about Chapter 19. The last of the basically new information that you're going to get. So, estimated taxes, extensions, and admitted returns.
Piece of cake.
Not very much. So we need to. We've talked about this throughout the course of this class. Be aware who must make estimated tax payments. And generally, if you owed over $1,000 this year, you probably should consider making estimated tax payments. Unless something about you was either a one-off thing or you know that your situation is going to substantially change. Like, for instance, our newly retired usually get hit with this, and then next year they'll be back to normal.
Yeah. Well, I had a lady she called up wanting to, she needed like $10,000 or $15,000 for her daughter's upcoming wedding. And she was considering taking it out of her 401k. And she was wanting to know, what should I do with that? I'm like, well, if you take it out, I said, my suggestion would be to, if your income stays basically the same year to year, take that, add it to what your adjusted gross income was for the previous year, and see what your tax would have been. And then make an estimated tax payment. And she's like, yeah, but how can I do it without because she knows if she takes it out of her 401k, they're going to withhold for federal and state withholdings.
Right.
And she's like, well, what if I just went out and got a loan? I'm like, well, look at it this way. If you go out and you get a $15,000 personal loan, it's not income that's reported on your tax return.
No.
As long as you can make the monthly payment, you're going to pay it back, and you don't have any impact for your taxes.
It might not be the worst thing.
It's what I told her. I said, if you can make the monthly payment, or pay it off in a timely fashion or whatever, I said you might want to do it that way instead of incurring a tax debt.
Yeah, it just depends on who you'd rather owe. Would I rather have a one-time tax debt, or would I rather be on the hook for the next X years?
Right.
We're going to understand extensions and how to file one, which they're easy peasy. And then we're going to talk about an amended return, which is a little bit more in depth.
Jesus, Lord have mercy.
Well, that's you all the time.
All these spam calls.
Your estimated tax is the total amount of tax liability you are expected to have for the year. It also refers to the way that taxes are paid on income that is not subject to withholding. Estimates should be adjusted as changes in life, like marriage, birth, retirement, and tax laws dictate. Knowing your estimated tax will help you decide if you're paying enough tax throughout the year or if you should make estimated taxes. It's those one-off things throughout the year that usually are what you're concerned about. You win at the casino.
You hit 4 numbers on the Powerball and get $50,000. It's where a lot of people go wrong. They'll hit something like that. They'll get $50,000. The lottery commission will withhold state and federal taxes, and they go and they blow that whole nut that's left. Well,
it might not have been enough.
Might not have been enough. So when they come in, they're wanting to know, well, why do I owe $4,000?
Yeah.
Well, because you won $50,000 and you're being taxed on $50,000. But I had taxes withheld from that.
Granted,
You might have had $10,000 withheld.
They might have withheld at 10 and 5, which is their standard numbers. Well, unfortunately for you, you're at 20 and 15.
You had
Don't they normally just hold one or the other?
No.
Now they'll hold both.
they'll hold both.
On the lottery, they'll hold both. Now,
Oh, the law.
if I go to the casino,
It's only state.
depends on what casino.
Yeah, because Park City doesn't.
Yeah, if I go to the Kansas Star, yes. If I go to the Crosswinds or down in Oklahoma, no. They won't withhold the dime because they don't have to. Go up to the casino north of Topeka, Potawatomi. They won't withhold.
And even if you ask, they won't withhold.
Yeah, they don't want to mess with it.
They don't want to start a trend of voluntarily withholding taxes for the federal government. Their whole thing is they're outside of the federal government.
Yeah, they're their own government. Truly.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to do that. And they don't have to. They're not required to. Those are people that need to make quarterly payments.
Yes.
If they don't have enough withheld otherwise. A lot of our bigger gamblers know this, and they have higher withholdings in other places to make up for it. But some of our I went down to the casino a couple of times, had some fun. They don't know this.
Like my Asian couple who drop $135,000 in gambling losses for about $70,000 in gambling winnings every year.
So Barry divorced in January. His former wife had custody of the child, whom she claims is dependent. When figuring his estimated tax, Barry must consider these changes into account, or he's not going to get a good estimated tax of his liability. 23, he married Finally Charlie. 24, he's single. 23, he qualified for child tax credit. 24, he ain't. So even if nothing changed, he made the exact same amount of money, his refund, if any, is going down, down, down. Because his standard deduction's gone down, so his taxable income will start faster, and it will grow at a faster rate, because the tax rate accelerates faster for singles.
Yep.
And he doesn't qualify for any credits that he was qualifying for. So, yeah, he needs to re-examine. This guy here needs to do a new W-4.
Yes.
Desperately.
People
Now.
don't like hearing that.
I don't like saying that.
I know, because then they go in there and who's handing them the papers says you need to fill it out this way.
Well, we had this.
No.
We had this at Broadway. That last year that you and I were together at Broadway, we had this. The guy came in. He'd been divorced for 2 years and was wanting to know why his refund plummeted. And we're like, well, we don't know. Let's take a look. And we started looking back, and 2 years prior, he was filing joint. And then for the last 2 years after that, he was filing single. And we told him, well, there's that. I said, and then we asked him, what did you change your W-4? And he's like, no, I don't think so. So his W-4 was still married filing joint with 3 kids on it. So
He's
he-
withholding at a low
he,
rate.
he was claiming $6,000 in child tax credits for the last 2 years, or telling his company that he was going to be claiming $6,000 in child tax credits. So they weren't pulling shit out of his checks.
Yeah. No. Now, and I will make the argument is in this case, Barry's desperate. He has to. I mean, this is immediate. Now, if we turn the table, say Barry got married, should he file a W-4? Yes. You should file a new one. Is it an emergency? No. He's just going to withhold at the old rates. It's going to be probably more than what he needs. But we also don't know, because we don't know what she makes.
How are they able to lie on a W-4 so they have independence for 6 months?
Nobody
Yeah.
double checks it.
No.
Yeah, they
There's
turn
no
around
proof.
and
There's no
Pull it
proof
out.
required.
that's they should know.
So here's the thing. If I go in and I give Shane my W-4 and I say I've got 15 kids, and Shane uses that to figure out my stuff, unless a complaint's made,
That doesn't mean-
IRS isn't going to go in and individually check every single W-4 filed for every single employee at every single company. My God, how could they?
No.
When you
But
file
I-
your taxes,
but-
'cause it tells
As long
you.
as you're paying
But
your-
that's when you pay the piper.
Right.
If you did it wrong and you said you have 15 kids and you don't have any, all
Now,
of a sudden you're going to owe a boatload.
if I'm working for Shane and my salary is $70,000 a year, and I tell Shane I've got 15 kids, so he doesn't withhold anything, and I go on for 10 years doing this, and I, like Shane's client, just keep putting what I owe the federal government into a payment plan. At the end of 10 years, if I'm owing $150,000 in back taxes, the IRS is liable to turn around and look. And yes, lying on a W-4 is a federal felony.
That's what I thought.
But nobody's going back to check.
But unless you give the IRS a reason to investigate the return, they're not going to go back and look at an individual W-4 to see what they're being withheld at, and whether or not they're legitimately allowed to claim those.
If I told that one fella that decided he thought he was going to do that, don't come to our office.
Well, he could do that. But
He can
It's
do it,
not, 'cause he's trying-
You could come to my office, but don't bitch to me when you owe $5,000.
I'm
and
not
don't
doing it
ask
'cause
me-
he's trying to do more than that, I think.
and don't ask me to file the W-4.
No.
If you want to change your W-4, my stock answer is going to be you need to go to HR or your payroll department and get a W-4
Well, I
from
did
them.
find out over the weekend he quit that one company and he's working with another one.
Right. So when he fills out his W-4, that's where he makes whatever election he's going to make. Now, I will guide a client on how to fill out that W-4 so they get the maximum benefit. If they really are wanting to make sure they don't owe, you fill out the top, you leave everything else blank, you
Right.
sign your name at the bottom.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah, don't put in extras.
Yes.
Hello, this is a telemarketer.
It's telling him about his appointment tomorrow.
All right. So when you're figuring your estimated tax, their baseline is look at last year's taxes, which is about the only thing you have to work off of. Take a look at last year's taxes. That's your starting point. Make your adjustments accordingly. Guess your adjusted gross income for this year. Well, I mean, again, you're at your starting point. Well, this year's income, as long as I didn't get fired, I didn't change jobs in the middle of the year, I've got a pretty good idea what my starting income is going to be by looking at last year's. What they're saying up here is remember that total income includes all taxable income you received during the year, whether taxes withheld from it or not. Well, that's a true statement. Yes, we need to, when we're figuring estimates, I'm not worried about what I had withheld last year. I'm worried about what I had to pay taxes on last year. Subtract your standard deduction or what you think you're going to get in itemized deductions. Figuring the tax, use the next year's tax table or tax rate schedule if it's available, which I believe it is at this point. But also, if you're filing your W-4 for this year's taxes, you're probably screwed. And if you're definitely trying to figure out your estimated payments, well, you got 1 quarter left.
You can make an entire year's quarterly payments in 1 quarter, but you will get penalized for the quarters that you didn't properly file your estimated taxes in.
Yeah.
So if you waited until the end of the year and then made a $10,000 estimated tax payment by January 15th, you're still when you do your taxes, you're still liable to get penalized for first, second, and third quarters because you didn't make any payments.
There is a caveat to that. If my business model says that the only time I get income is the 4th quarter, then there's
That
an
would be
exception
different.
to that rule.
That would be different.
So when I'm looking at quarterly taxes, one of the things I can look at is, well, what time of the year do I actually make money? Because those are the only quarters I'm actually due anything. So around here, if I'm in the landscape business, hey, 1st quarter's terrible.
So is the 4th.
4th quarter ain't much better. So I really wouldn't have to necessarily look at having to make 1st and 4th quarter tax payments. Just 2nd and 3rd quarters.
Yep.
And the IRS understands that. There's a reasonability aspect of it. I'm a seasonal business. I need good weather, and that doesn't happen in winter.
Now, if you're a good landscaping business and you offer snow removal services, that
Yeah.
might be a different story.
Yeah. Yeah, if it snows. I mean, this year would be good for landscaping business if I was doing the mowing part because, it didn't frost until last week. I'm still mowing.
Yep.
And I'll mow at least 2 more times because the trees are still full of leaves.
Yep. Yeah, this year you're looking probably,
2nd week in December.
yeah.
I got him at the same price for $250 for cover it. I got $500 for the same price.
During the year, you and your spouse, if filing jointly, are expected to pay most of your estimated tax. Like we said, you got to pay 90% of your tax bill throughout the year, divided by 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, most people do this through withholding. And that's fine. If you do not have enough tax being withheld to meet your obligation, you should make estimated tax payments. If you don't think that your withholdings are going to be enough, you need to make estimated tax payments. Right now, I'm looking at my little side thing I got going on, working with AMR, and I'm probably okay.
You get referrals for that?
Yeah. If I get too many referrals, I won't be okay, but that's
Well, yeah.
that's my problem, not yours. I'd rather deal with that problem.
Because I have thyroid thing. You're saying our Centroid's not any good. Levothyroxine's not good.
I don't know what they have. I don't know what studies they have going on right now, or what's coming up, or where.
Oh,
And for the estimated payments, if you have a client who's a W-2 client that has their federal withholdings done out, and they come in and you do everything up and it shows, they owe $1,200. The easiest way for them to reduce that is just to go back in and adjust their W-4.
Yeah.
On line 4C of the W-4, there's a line there that is additional withholdings. and they can just go in if they're, if they need an extra $1,500 or an extra $2,000 withheld, to make sure that they cover everything, or they get it down so they only owe a small amount. You can just tell them to go in there and take the amount that they want to have withheld, divide it by their number of paychecks, and put that in on that slot. And they will take their normal amount plus that. So the next year they should come out a lot better, and they don't have to worry about what's the date I have to make that estimated tax payment, because it comes out as they get their checks.
Yeah. So, like, to expand on what he's saying, since my wife is on campers, we would typically owe the state of Kansas. And this year I'm having, on my paycheck, an extra $5 withheld every paycheck, which should be more than enough to cover what we typically owe the state of Kansas.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to get carried away. All I'm trying to do is get to zero. It drives me nuts to cut that check in April. It pisses me off. Even if it is for $100. I'd rather be zero. And that's what I'm shooting for.
I'd rather be zero or know I'm not getting a $3 refund.
Yeah.
Do you and your wife claim married, or do you claim single?
I claim single, she claims married, because the discrepancies of income levels are...
Right.
But
I'm married finally jointly, but withhold at the single race. I'm using that box.
Yeah, okay, but to me, that's still single.
But the biggest thing the biggest place where people make their mistake is in Section 2 and Section 3 of the W-4. Because they check the box that, yes, my spouse is working. And then they go down and they put down, well, we're going to claim 3 kids on our tax return, so they're going to put down 3 kids. Well, if the spouse fills out that W-4 the same way, yes, my spouse is working and we're going to claim 3 kids. Now, you've got your spouse's company who knows his wife is working and is working and he's claiming 3 kids. And you have the same thing on the other side. The company that the wife is working for knows that the husband is working and the wife is claiming 3 children. Those are the 2 areas where they screw up the most. If you've got a couple working and they have kids, either split the kids or have only one person claim the kids.
Yeah.
And never tell them, leave box 2, that should just go bye-bye. That should never be in there.
What's box 2?
Box 2 is where you tell them whether or not you have a spouse bringing in an income.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you mark that box, they're automatically going to cut the amount they withhold from your check because you've got another income.
Right.
So leave box 2 alone, period. Never mark that box. And if you've got a couple with kids, either split the kids if you can or have only one person claim them.
Yeah. Another reason why I have extra withholdings on my federal side on my paycheck is because of my Schedule C. Just in case.
Yep.
Alright, so in general you must make estimated payments during the tax year if both the following apply. You expect to owe $1,000 or more. That's their magic number for the most part. Also, if you look at your tax return and you don't think you're going to have 90% of your taxes withheld through the year, you need to make estimated tax payments. Or 100% of what you owed in tax last year.
What if I didn't know last year?
If you didn't know last year, that's not a problem.
So
If you didn't file last year, that's not a problem. If you didn't, on either one of those, you can claim that this is something new, and there's an exemption for that.
So if I got a $300 refund last year and I owe $2,500 this year, I'm not going to be penalized?
You shouldn't be. There is an exception around that. But, again, what was that caused from? Because they could look as, well, hey, you won the lottery, you should have known.
Right.
If I'm off because basically my Schedule C, E, or F This year I made a lot more money. I stopped depreciating, and so I cleared more money. That's kind of a surprise.
So if I started a business, say in August,
If I
the
started
year
business,
before and got a refund,
yeah,
and this year I owe $2,500, but this was the first year my business was running all year,
you're exempt.
you're exempt.
So there's some room, there's some fudge in there. But again, if I'm a W-2 guy and I just had, like won the lottery, won at the casino, that's not going to be good enough. I don't think you're going to get your exception. If your actual income is different than what was estimated, recalculate during the tax year. Like my guy, who was running the aircraft business, and he was a Schedule C employee. Well, not employee, a subcontractor. And I told him, when you get ready to make your quarterly payments, this is what I think it should be, based on last year's information. You need to run a quick P&L and find out if you're on target. Run a quick profit and loss statement. See what you're doing. If you're in the same area you were last year, great. Here's your quarterly payment. If not, make an adjustment right there. My quarterly payment doesn't have to be the same.
No,
It usually is, but it doesn't have to be. I can make adjustments throughout the year based on what's actually happening.
after the first quarter, if I only show that my profit and loss statement only shows that I have a net profit of $25,000, and I make a 20% estimated tax payment on that, and I send $5,000 in, and then the next quarter, my profit and loss statement says, well, you made $100,000, so I send another 20% in. I send a $20,000 payment in. The IRS isn't going to wonder, well, why'd you send 5 last quarter and 20 this quarter? They're going to accept the payments, and then when they get my tax return at the end of the year, they're going to go, okay. And they're not going to worry about it because on a Schedule C, we don't break it down by quarter anyway.
Yeah, it's the entire year.
We run the entire year. But at the end of that time, if it says on his taxes that he owed, $63,000, and he paid in 64, and he still owes 1,000, or he's getting a refund of 1,000. Either way, IRS isn't going to complain about it, and he's not going to show on his tax return that he gets hit with a underpayment penalty.
The same goes for the opposite direction. If he had to take the second quarter off because he had surgery.
Yeah.
He had no income. It didn't work.
Didn't make a payment.
You don't have to make a payment. Even if your income is not subject to withholding, you do have to make an estimated tax payment in the current year if all the following conditions are met. You had no tax liability for the prior year. You are a U.S. citizen or resident for the whole year. You made the prior tax return covered all 12 months. In these cases, I can prove that I didn't need to. I don't have to. If you're married filing separately, apply the rules to your part of the income. Remembering that your standard deduction is lower. Your tax rate grows faster. Don't look at the married side. That would be wrong. They'll give you the wrong number.
Yeah.
Now, if you're married, you can make joint estimated tax payments if you want to. But if you're going to marry filing separately, I recommend doing separate estimated tax payments.
Yes.
It's just cleaner. Because on a married filing separately return, if you made joint tax payments, granted, I get to assign who gets what, but it can be messy. I might have to prove to the IRS.
I had a person call me yesterday and ask, how many years consecutively can you file a new spouse? It's
As many as you
It's
want.
unlimited. There is none.
Her tax person told her she can only do it like 3 or 4 years in a row.
No.
That's
See,
wrong.
that's a problem. This is why, back in 2011, I was all in favor of the registered tax return preparer test issued by the IRS. Stop that crap.
And she called me, she goes, we're married, but do I file single and we file both? I said, no. I said, there's only 2 ways you can file.
Yeah.
Separate with the decree or otherwise, you can't be together. That's 6 months out of the year. Or file
Joint.
filing joint.
And but by the way, find a new
With
tax
the new
preparer
file.
because your person doesn't
Yes.
know squat.
I know, I'm trying to get her to come in.
Find a new tax preparer because your tax preparer is giving you very bad information.
Wrong information.
Yeah, they live in Hayesville, so I think this office is closest.
I don't care.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her to.
That's fine.
come in.
It's fine.
I said, thank you for giving us wrong information on the tax person.
Thank you. But that's why I was in favor of that test because, you know,
Keeps everybody on the same page.
well, it
Opposed to
stops
things
that. It
happening.
stops the bad information from going out there. Now, you know, now you got a tax preparer that doesn't know better, as opposed to people just getting their bad information off of TikTok,
Yeah.
which is probably where they got that information.
Probably. Like the guy on TikTok still peddling the fact that you can claim your expenses for your pet as long as you just tell them that your pet is your guard dog.
Yeah, good luck with that. Even if you made separate estimated payments and decide to file jointly, that's not a problem.
Mm-mm.
You can go either way.
No, the problem comes in if one spouse or the other went online and made an estimated tax payment under one person's name and social, because that's what you have to put in to make a payment, and then they turned around and they filed separate, the IRS is going to show that Marjorie Green made 4 estimated tax payments in the amount of $20,000. When Michael Green tries to put down that he made 4 estimated tax payments totaling $10,000, the IRS is going to go, where? Even though he's filing married filing separate, even though Marjorie's name and social are going to be on there, they're going to go, where?
That's not yours.
That's not yours. She made those. She's filing married filing separate. She's entitled to all $20,000 of the estimated tax payment, not you.
Yeah, you had to make a joint payment.
If they file married filing joint, the IRS doesn't care. Both people are on the tax return. Both
Yeah.
people are responsible for everything. And the fact that Marjorie made all of the estimated tax payments under her social security number is irrelevant. They're filing a return together.
You do not have to pay the entire amount of the estimated tax during the year, but only enough to get past the underpayment penalty. I'm not saying you have to pay so much that you have to get a refund. We're just saying that you have to pay enough to basically owe less than $1,000. To oversimplify it.
Yeah, to oversimplify it.
When you're doing estimated tax payments, don't forget to include any taxes that you're already having withheld in that formula. Now, when I was doing it with my aircraft guy, I was not taking that into effect because A, it was variable. He was only taken out of his retirement plan if he had to. And B, what was constant just wasn't enough to be in consideration. His wife was retired on capers. and what she was having withheld was basically irrelevant. It was enough. It was enough to cover her part. So it didn't factor into my figures or his figures at all. There is a worksheet on the 1040 ES. This is where the estimated taxes are, to help you figure this out. Fusion will do it for you. If you want, you click a button that says, hey, figure out my next year's quarterly payments. It'll do that. Or there's a button I can click that says, hey, I want to generate the forms but leave them blank. It'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a third button I can click that says, hey, I want to put in this number. Don't figure one for me, don't leave it blank, put in $2,000.
Yep.
That's another option. I can do any of those. Quarterlies are due April 15th, which is a double whammy for you because that's also tax day. So not only are my taxes owed from last year, my first quarter payments also due at the same time. Next, June 15th. Then September 15th. And then January 15th of the following year is when fourth quarter is due.
Yeah, I don't like the June 15th because it makes it almost impossible to make that payment on time when you don't have the second quarter done yet.
Right. Yeah, it's a stupid break.
Right. And September's the same way. June and September, those are the
Mhm.
middle of the last month of the quarter.
You got to project out for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then my January 15th payment actually is somewhat negotiable because if I can file my tax return by the 31st, then I don't have to make my fourth quarter payment. If I file and pay my taxes by the 31st, then I'm not responsible for fourth quarter payment
31st
of January. So if you do know that, if you can get your taxes done by the 31st, you don't have to make that fourth quarter payment.
Or if you had a refund last year and you had it applied to your next year's taxes, your first quarter payment's considered made.
Might not have been enough, but at
Right.
least it will count as you have made a first quarter payment. Your leftover taxes that you had carried over will always be treated as at least part of a first quarter payment.
Yep.
If the due dates fall on a Saturday or Sunday or a federal holiday, the due date will be the next following business day.
Yep.
So typically the following Monday. Which I believe for this upcoming tax season,
Nope.
I don't think it's in play at all.
Last day of tax season this year, if I remember
It's a
correctly, is
Wednesday.
a Thursday.
Wednesday.
Is it a Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yep. Surely is. So we'll be good.
Yeah. And like I said, to reiterate, here it is in just a bullet in case you didn't believe me. I don't have to make my fourth quarter tax payment if I file and pay my entire tax year by the 31st. Like I said on the earlier things, I don't have to make estimated tax payments until I have income. And if I'm talking about Schedule C, net income. Well, like I said before, if I'm only making money in 2 of the 4 quarters, or hey, I'm a Christmas business, I only make money in the 4th quarter,
Yeah.
I only have to make a quarterly payment in that quarter.
and we can set it up if a client so desires. We can set it up for whatever tax debt that they owe to be automatically drafted from their bank account on a specific date at the time we file their tax return.
And that also is true for the quarterlies.
Yes.
You can set up for the quarters. If they want to pay $2,000 every quarter, we can set it up.
Yep.
And it automatically draft out on the appropriate day.
Yep. On the 15th. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, or the following business day, whatever that may be.
Right.
So when you're doing quarterlies, pay attention to those minor little things that happen. I mean, major things too. Got divorced, got a kid, that's a major thing.
Yes.
That changes your taxes. Other minor things, hey, it got more expensive to buy gasoline. My fuel costs have gone up.
Yeah. I mean, especially think about it, if you're a truck driver, for the first 6 months, you were paying $3.85 a gallon for diesel. And something steps off in the Middle East, and all of a sudden, diesel goes from $3.85 a gallon to $6 a gallon.
Your positions change.
That's a major event.
You might not think of it as a major event at the time that it's happening for your taxes.
But your September and your January estimated tax payment might be half of what it was for the first 2 quarters.
Because your expenses went up.
Exactly.
And this is just a rehash of everything that we've already talked about.
Doesn't sound like much, but when you're putting 150 gallons of diesel in, an additional $3 a gallon daily,
Yeah,
that becomes a big deal.
huge deal. So here's our worksheet. And keeping them, looking up there, it's actually keeping track of where I'm at throughout the year. 25, 45, 67, 90%.
Okay.
By the end of the first quarter, I should have already paid 22.5% of what I expect to owe. And so on and so forth. There's a few ways that I can go through paying estimated taxes. I can make the payment through the IRS website. If I do that, I might have to pay some convenience fees. I could send in a check with my payment voucher. Just as long as it's postmarked by the due date of the quarter, I'm good.
Hey, sweetheart.
Shannon was reporting that some people have said that the IRS hasn't processed their third quarter payment yet. Well, that's the IRS's problem, not the clients.
They have to be posted.
They have to be postmarked
I'll get
just
it,
like
don't
you
worry about
think. So as long as the postmark on the envelope was April, or in this case, September 15th. The fact that the IRS hasn't processed it yet is not their concern. They're on time.
Yes.
And the other one is like what Matt said, and we can set this up for direct draft on the date. The nice thing about doing a direct draft that's coming straight from your bank account, there are no convenience fees involved. I made the electronic payment, but since I didn't involve Visa, MasterCard, or Discover, I don't have to pay for that.
And the really nice thing, we want the client to bring in a receipt showing that they made payments, but if they set it up this way, when we do their tax return, when they come in next year, our system is automatically going to apply those payments
Yeah,
to their return.
all we have to do is confirm it.
Yep. And if they come back and they say, yeah, here's my bank statement, here's where they took it out for this, 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 and this, then all we do is go through and verify it, and it loads it as a payment made. A like that feature.
If you're making quarterly payments and you move, you should file a change of address form along besides with the post office. The IRS has their own form. Imagine that.
8822.
8822. Even if I'm not making quarterly payments and I move, it might be a good idea to change my address. Because the IRS is going to be sending correspondence to my old address.
Yes.
If my forward order runs out at the post office, I'm not going to get it. And I might need it. I might want it.
And we can, if client comes to us and tells us this, we can pull that form up, help them fill it out, and then all they have to do is drop it in the mail.
Yeah.
It's a standalone form. It does not have to go in with their tax payment.
You're next.
What?
That was a purple call. They wanted to know if we're willing to forward our phones through LRC.
No.
I said, absolutely not.
No.
I said, we're set in our ways, we like the way we do things. We already have a big complaint with LRC. And I basically told her some of the stuff we didn't like. She said they're currently working on it.
That's their answer.
That's their
Don't
answer
expect
to
anything for
everything.
this year.
Right.
That's nice, but I have my stuff. I have my phones set up the way I want
Yeah, and
want
that's
them
what I told
set
her.
up.
I said, we've been here a long time, we're set in our ways, we're not going anywhere.
No,
We're
I don't
different.
want my numbers to go through LRC because then that means that if I wanted to call here, but I lived in Rock Road's territory, it's going to Matt.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. That's why on all of the business cards for our office has our actual office number on them.
Right.
And I tell people, look, because they'll say, well, I've been calling the number that I see on Google. I tell them, yes, that is the number that routes you through corporate. So when
Is
you
that 13, whatever it is?
yeah,
That's for us, yes.
yeah, the like the
Okay, just so you know
804s.
that when you pull it up on LRC, it's going up that way still.
Yeah, and,
I
and
can't
it's going
change
to.
Didn't talk to Brett about that. He said he was going.
It's going to because it's going to route depending upon where you are at, what your location is. If you call that number, it's going to route you to the closest office, not necessarily the office you go to,
Just the
but your
closest.
closest office. That's why I always make sure on our business cards it has the actual
Your phone
office
number.
number. Your 3201 number
That's what I
should
did
be
too.
on your card.
Yep.
See, those pins back there, I didn't buy them.
I know.
Yeah.
Marisa did.
And
Yeah.
the pens that I bought last year have our 4997 number on the pens,
I'm almost considering getting
on
new
our
pins.
envelopes.
We ought to. We ought to. But yeah, they wanted to know about our setup if we answer after when we're not open. I said, yeah, it actually rolls to my phone. Your personal phone? Yes, ma'am.
Moving on, thank you.
I said, and we're not changing it.
Extensions. There may be circumstances that result in you not having enough time to file your tax return in a timely fashion.
I have something to say to that. If somebody comes in to do an extension, please ask them, do you file, now this is Kansas only, homestead?
Which we'll talk about homestead in a little bit. I have it.
Okay.
I made it. My homestead lecture is ready. It's going to be the last thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, because I just had a lady call you Monday wanting to know if she could come in and file for her 2024 homestead.
No.
And I told her
I
no.
got another client that happened with.
Well, the answer is actually yes if you can prove that you're in a coma. But
She filed her taxes with us
yeah,
in a timely fashion, and I told her no, that you have to file
It's
it
too
by
late.
the end of the tax season,
Yep.
otherwise you aren't eligible for it. And she's like, well, nobody told me that. I said, well, if you let us know that you want to file it, I said, we will just add it to your return. I said, there's no charge for adding it to your return.
nope, we don't charge it for homestead.
We will add it to your return and go. And if you're eligible for it, you'll get it.
All right, so if you cannot file your return by the due date, I don't like the following words. You may get an automatic 6-month extension of time to file. No, it's not automatic. You got to file a piece of paper.
Yeah. There's
After that, it's pretty much automatic.
there's only one group of people that get an automatic extension, and that is military that are posted overseas in a combat area. If they don't file by April 15th, they are automatically granted 2 months. They have until June 15th to get it in without
That
any
still
penalty.
doesn't seem fair.
Technically, Matt is oversimplifying because my Canadians also automatically get the 2 months
Oh, because they
because they have
Live
a
in a-
foreign address.
have a foreign address? Okay.
And I had to do this year, so I was happy to find it. She came up to me on, well, she didn't come up to me. She sent me an email in what I think it was on on June 10th, saying I need an extension.
That's fine. It's before the 2 months.
I was able to do it.
Yeah.
So that also shows to you that they already got the automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the guys, the ones that are out in the official combat zone, they got better things to worry about than their taxes.
Well,
Yes.
I understand that, and technically they should have made arrangements for somebody back home to have power of attorney to take care of it for them.
Like the one lady we had a couple 2 or 3 years back. Mom came in, daughter was in Afghanistan. Mom came in, she had power of attorney. She had the Department of Defense power of attorney form showing that she had the ability to file her daughter's taxes, collect her refund and all of that. And we did the taxes and let Mom sign for all of it before the end of tax season.
Right.
Because she didn't know that she was afraid. She knew her daughter wouldn't be back in time for the end of tax season, and wasn't sure if she'd be back in time for the extension.
Is that regular trial?
I'm getting involved.
So what's the joke in Apollo 11? There was actually that line, or not 11, 13.
Yeah.
Apollo 13, yeah, before everything hit the fan, that President Nixon had granted the astronauts an automatic time of extension because they are most definitely out of the country.
You think?
Out of the planet would have been correct too.
Let's do it.
To get your automatic extension, you must file a 4868, and it's the easiest form you'll ever file in the world. All you need is basically your client's personal information.
Yep.
At bare minimum, that's all I need. I need your name, your social security number, your address, your birth date, and
Phone
that's pretty
number.
much it. Well, phone number, yeah. But that's personal information. But
Yeah.
basically all I need. I don't need much more than that.
No signature.
No,
No.
don't even need a signature technically.
So you can just do this on the phone.
I can, if especially if you're an existing client, yes. Call me on the phone. I'll file one for you, no problem.
Yep.
If you're a new client, I prefer you stop by, fill out my client data sheet real quick. Take you 5 minutes.
And pay.
Yeah, and we charge $75. That will be credited to your return when you actually file.
Yes. Now, if you're an existing client,
I waive that.
we waive it. We discount the $75 and file it.
Yeah.
And then when they come in and file, we do not turn around and add the 75 back on.
Yeah.
We never do that. The extension for an existing client is a courtesy for us.
And because on our existing clients, we know that they're going to come back.
Yeah.
We know I could on January 1st, I could file an extension for at least 5 people right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I can. I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait until April.
Or they call them like, oh my God, I forgot to call you. Can I get it? And it's like,
I already took care of that 3 weeks ago.
yeah, gotcha.
Technically, on
Please don't
January
live.
2nd, when everything opens back up, I could turn around and I could file an extension for my car dealer on
Yep.
January 2nd. Because I know for a fact he's not going to come in and get it done on time.
Nope.
April 15th, he will walk through my door, file an extension, get his voucher, and drop his payment in the mail. So I could turn around, file him an extension, print his voucher off, stick it in his envelope when he comes in, hand him his voucher for his extension when he comes in to drop off his partnership stuff.
Yep.
He can drop it in the mail, and I don't need to see him again until freaking October.
So even if you file that in January, it still goes out 6 months from April 15th?
Yep.
April 15th.
From
yes.
April 15th.
And you don't have to wait that long. And it's no problem. If I did that, I filed one in January, and they came in and surprised me and said, "Hey, this year I got on the ball. It's March 15th. I'm ready to do my taxes." That's also not a problem.
The fact that it's already filed is irrelevant. He can turn around and file it at any point in time. File his tax return. As long as the date on that tax return is before 10/15, he's good.
When you file an extension, you must make an accurate estimate of the year. This is kind of a misnomer. I can file. The idea is, and this is where we always have a little bit of problem. Let's just, instead of their wording, I'm going to give you our wording. Filing an extension does not give you an extension of time to pay.
No.
Only an extension of time to file. I'm going to be able to waive the late filing penalty, maybe completely, as long as you file an extension and file by October 15th. It doesn't matter, though, if you owe, you will be figured on interest and penalties starting on April 15th, whether you file an extension or not.
Yep.
The clock starts on April 15th.
Yep. My car dealer, when he comes in on April 15th, whatever he had to pay out of pocket the year before is what he makes as a payment with his extension. And he knows when he comes in, he may end up owing more. So like last year, when he filed his extension, in April of this last year, when he filed his extension, he made a $4,000 payment because that's what he owed the year before. When I gave him his voucher this year, he owed $32,000 this year because he had one hell of a year. He's going to make that payment. He pays that all off. Now, when he comes and sees me for this season, I'm going to tell him, well, typically you pay what you had last year. You owed $32,000 at the end of the year. Do you want to make that for your estimated payment with your extension? More than likely, he'll say, no, I'll make $7,500, and he'll make that payment. But when you're making a payment, I mean, it kind of runs under the same thing as an estimated tax payment. If he were to make a $32,000 payment when he does his extension, he may be able to subvert getting any penalties for underpayment because he paid in full by the 15th what he owed the previous year.
And if he overpays, he's just going to get it back as a refund.
Yeah, he'll get it back as a refund, which means the next year when he comes in to file it, he could, if he wanted to, file an extension and not send a payment because he got $12,000 back from the previous year because he overpaid.
Right. So that's what says when anybody comes into the office and says, "I want an extension." Always, 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 always. It's an extension of time to file, not time to pay.
Yes.
If you owe, you will be penalized back till April 15th, regardless of when you file. If you owe, or you know that you're going to owe, technically the IRS, and this is what this is all about, I can send in an extension and not include any payment.
Yep.
But really, what the IRS is kind of wanting is send in the extension request and a payment.
And on our programming, there's two spots. So there's a bubble that you can click for sending in an extension, and there's a bubble that you can click for sending in an extension with a payment. Now, the difference in those two bubbles is this. If I come in and I ask Shannon to do up an extension, I'm going to pay $5,000 with my extension, but I'm going to mail it in on a voucher. You do not select the bubble that says extension with a payment.
It's going to automatically route you through direct drafting.
Yes. Now, if I tell Shannon I want to do my extension, here's my banking information, I want to direct draft $5,000, then she'll put in, she'll click the bubble that says extension with a payment, she'll click that I'm agreeing to a direct draft, and she'll put in my banking information.
Right.
That way, when it goes in, the day after the extension is filed, they will draft my account whatever I told it to.
Or a date that was in the future. So if I file for an extension in March and say, don't make that payment until April 15th, it will wait until April 15th.
Yes. Yes, but if I come in on April 15th,
It'll take it out as soon as possible.
it'll take it out on the 16th. It won't let us actually
Right.
do it for the 15th,
Yeah.
but it'll take the payment out on the 16th.
So then you're considered late.
No, you're not considered late. That's just the system.
Yeah.
Your extension is filed and your payment is in. So think of it this
You
way.
kind of have a 3-day grace.
If I tell Shannon I want an extension, but I'm going to mail a check in, so she files my extension today, gives me my voucher,
You better be postmarked by today.
I walk down and I go get my cashier's check, and I drop it in the mail because I came in at 6 o'clock this evening to have her do my extension. My extension's filed, but when I drop my check in the mail, it's going to go out on the 16th.
Which makes it late.
It's not late.
If it's
No.
postmarked by, yeah, you got 3 days grace.
It's
Oh,
not.
okay.
It's not late.
Okay. But if you sat on it for a week and waited till you got paid,
That's a problem.
That's a problem. Yeah,
okay, all right.
yeah.
I
And
didn't realize that.
and my card. That's what my card dealer does. Is he comes in, I file his extension, I give him his voucher, he goes home, goes to the bank, gets a cashier's check, and drops it in the mail the very next day.
Personal checks are fine, by the way.
Yes,
You
and
don't have
personal
to-
checks are fine too.
You don't have to get a cashier's check if you don't want to.
No, but he for him, he likes having that amount pulled out so that when he looks at his
It's not
availability,
already-
Yeah.
he's not having to sit there and go, "Oh yeah, I forgot I got $5,000 coming out of that."
Right.
It's
Why doesn't he just do the
Direct drafting?
why doesn't he do the direct drafting? It's his little to the federal government. That, and he doesn't really want the federal government with his banking information. He doesn't really want the federal government having his banking information. The 1 year that he came in and did his return, and he made a $7,500 payment, and he got $6,600 of it back, he reluctantly gave me his banking information so they could direct deposit it in, but only after I assured him that the only permissions that he was giving was for the federal government to put money into his bank. They could not withdraw anything out of that, and he was okay with that at that point.
So, all right. So, if you can't pay what's owed, file an extension.
Yep.
I disagree with that statement in one regard. If you can't pay what's owed, but my numbers are solid, file.
Yes.
Don't worry about the extension. Because filing the extension at that point, I did a return this year and trying hard not to drop names, but I did a return this year. I had it done in March, and they were going to owe Oklahoma and they were going to owe the IRS, and it was not a insignificant amount, granted, but I was done. I was not expecting any more information. She told me to file an extension. Why? It didn't do you any good. You might as well have just told me to file the 1040. Because you'd be at the same place. Your payment's late.
Without some of the penalties, like the filing rate.
Well, but I did file the extension. She did file the return. And then she paid. But, now that was a whole different thing. That was 6 months later, so she had 6 months of penalties and interest, which she would have had anyway
Right,
if I'd have just filed the 1040 when I was done with it.
right.
So, unfortunately, I had this thing hanging over the top of my head thinking, I have an important client that needs to file her tax return by the extension date, as opposed to having it done and I don't have to worry about it. The ball's totally in her court. She needs to pay. That's her problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always tell my clients when they come in, especially if they come in like the last week of the season and we're filing and they owe, I always tell my clients, if they can't pay when they file, this is what's going to happen. You're going to file, you're going to owe. When they get done processing your return, you're going to get a letter from the IRS that says, hey, you owe us $1,000. Plus, because you didn't pay by April 15th, you owe X amount of dollars for penalties, X amount of dollars for interest. This is your whole number you owe. If you pay it by this date, you're good. So when I get a client that owes, if they can't make an immediate payment, I tell them, look, you've got two choices. You can make an immediate payment now for what it says you owe, and if you do it before the end of the season, you're good. If you can't and you go beyond that, you have two options. You can make the payment, or you can wait for the letter. You're not going to really owe any less making the payment and then waiting for the letter.
No. And so, on my client in this case, I filed her tax return in a timely manner in early October, and then she said, "Well, what do you think my penalties? How much do you think I owe?" So I ran back and did some rough calculations because I didn't really compound the interest the way I should have, but
Or
at
compound
1/2
the
of a
penalty.
percent
Or
really wasn't going to be a horribly significant number. I just said, hey, this is what you owe. The P&I might be a little bit different, but I'm telling you, here's what the ballpark where I think your penalties and interest are going to be.
Yep.
Send in what we know you owe. Wait for the letter because it's not going to change.
Or wait for the letter and make one payment. If you just want to make one solid payment so that you know when you've made that payment, you're done, you're good, you can wait for the letter. IRS isn't going to tax you anymore because the date on the letter is going to be a date future to when you receive it. You're never going to receive a letter on May 1st that says if you pay this number by April 31st, this is the number. When you get that letter on May 1st, it's going to say if you make this payment by May 7th, you're good. It's always good. That date's always going to be a date in the future of when you get that letter. Assuming you don't let your mail collect because you're out of town for work.
All right, so our expats and our military people, they don't have to worry about filing an actual form if they can get their taxes filed by the 15th of June. They have 60 days. If they get to that 60 days and decide, well, hey, I need more time, I can go ahead and file an extension.
I like how they separate out military and naval services.
Yeah. Because,
Merchant Marine.
yeah, if I'm in the Merchant Marine,
Coast Guard counts as military.
Coast Guard is military.
yeah,
Yes.
Coast Guard is military.
There's 6 branches,
Yes.
Let's see here. Sometimes the IRS will extend it by themselves.
Oh, COVID.
COVID happened. The due date changed to May 1st.
July 17th.
And then went even farther.
Yeah, that first year when they locked everybody down, they
Yeah.
extended it to July.
Yeah. So they made their own extension, and they could do that.
You'll do that for federal disaster areas sometimes.
Sometimes they do. It's like, okay, a hurricane hit in South Florida, a week or two before the tax deadline. Okay, well, we'll push it forward. Usually what happens, the hurricane hits right before the extension deadlines, and they'll say, okay, your taxes aren't due if you live in this area. You don't have to worry about October 15th. We'll push it out to January 15th.
Now,
Did
here's
that
the
last
here's
year for,
the-
like, Texas, I think.
right. Now here's the kicker. Something happens, they extend the tax season out to July 15th. If you can't pay it by July 15th and you come in and get an extension, when's your extension date? October 15th. It's not 6 months from July.
No. It's going to be 6 months from
From April
April.
15th, from the traditional end. They've already extended it once. They're not going to give you an additional 6 months extension from their extension.
amended returns. You looking at your return, you realize that there's a mistake. Or, usually what happens is that you jumped the gun too much, filed your return, and then a W-2 showed up.
We have Amy had one from a previous year that we had, that he asked her over and over, just file it without it, just file it without it. She's like, no, I can't do that.
No, you can't, because technically that's actually illegal.
It's a fraudulent form.
'Cause
You
we
know it's
knew
fraudulent because you know that there's something
that
missing.
there's another form, right, and he just kept it, just file without it.
No, I cannot do that.
Can't do it. It's a fraudulent form. It's
And
it's
anyway,
knowingly
we ended up being for a
underreporting
business
income.
That went out of business. And he didn't want to go get the transcript.
Well, that's not our problem.
That's what we tried to explain.
All right. So, if you find the mistake, you can file an amended return to compensate for the mistake. If the IRS finds the mistake, I may or may not have to file a 1040X.
Yes.
If I agree with the IRS's changes, I don't have to do anything. I just accept the changes. If I can prove that the IRS overstated the changes, I file a 1040X. Always take a look at it, because the IRS is notorious for overstating their changes.
Right. So you come in and file, and then instead of having all your W-2s by February 15th, all of a sudden you get a 1099 in March for something that you didn't even remember doing or whatever. You get a note, you get a letter from the IRS saying, hey, we've got your return, but you missed $1,500 in income. We've made this change. This is what your new refund is. Technically, you don't have to go back and amend that return. But if they say, you know, out of your $1,000 return, we figured you owed another $750, but you only had $2,000 on that 1099 or that W-2 that you missed, you can always bring that down to us, and we will put it in and see where it should have been. And if we say, no, you didn't owe an extra $750, you only owe $300, then we can turn around and file that amended return, and they'll make it right.
Because they don't go out of their way to apply new credits that you might qualify for that you didn't on the original, for instance.
Right, right. So if you had kids on there, and where you were at on your earned income was below the sweet spot, but this new income pushed you up into the sweet spot, so you would have gotten actually more earned income credit and maybe more additional child tax credit
Yeah.
than what you originally got. The IRS isn't looking at that. The
No, they're
IRS
just
is going to
looking
go,
at the W-2 information.
yeah, the IRS is going to go, this is the extra income, this was your adjusted gross, this is what your tax liability should have been, and that's that. They're not going to add in, they're not going to figure the additional.
Percentages on some of these other credits.
Exactly.
The only thing that they're going to add as a credit is what was withheld on the W-2.
Yep.
That's why I always run a 1040X on a letter to find out whether or not you agree with the changes.
Yep.
The one thing I can't do on a 1040X is change filing status from married filing jointly to married filing separately.
No, I can
You
do it the
cannot
other
do
way.
that.
I can do it the other
I
way.
can go the other way, but I can't go from joint to separate. Amended return 1040X. According to this, there's an S, or I could do amended return for anything. Thank God they finally allow us to file an amended return electronically.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to file by paper, it's at least
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
And probably closer to 16 or 20.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. I filed this year for my own taxes. Filed my tax return mid-February, right around the first part of March. A week after I filed my taxes, I get a 1099 in the mail from Deep Blue for my incentives. I went in, I turned around, I made an amendment. Had the amendment filed 2 days after I got the letter. So before middle of March, I had my amendment filed. Beginning of October, I got a letter from the IRS saying that they had applied my amendment to my return, and thank you. Everything was, because when I did the amendment, it said I owed an additional $200 and some, so I made the payment. So everything was filed, amended, and paid before the end of the season. And it took them until October, from March to October, to send me a letter saying, hey, yeah, thanks for the amendment, thanks for the payments, you're all good.
So how many rolls can you fall on one
As many as you need.
Yep.
I've done 3.
I've done 2.
What's Brenda's number on that one check that would bring in?
I don't remember. Because I think at one time she stopped at 4, and it would have been worse. But she just started sitting on it and started collecting because she was in a hurry to get a refund. And this is what happens: they're in a hurry to get a refund. They'll bring in whatever they got.
Yep.
They lie to us because is this everything? Yeah, everything. Okay, well, we file a return. Then they call up. Sometimes it's the next day. I got a W-2 in the mail.
It doesn't really check.
No,
No.
Not on a W-2.
No, if you have, if you worked at five different jobs over the year, and you come in with 3 W-2s and file your tax return, the IRS knows you've got 5 W-2s, but just because there's only 3 listed on the return doesn't cause a rejection.
In our system, like say you work for Liberty Tax this year, next year it's gonna pop up and say you still work there.
Yep.
So you have to ask the client, do you still, or have you received a W-2 this company? So if they say yes or no, then we go accordingly, we take that out. If they say no, and then 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
yes they did.
they just forgot when they left. They thought
Yeah.
they left in late December, and it
Uh-huh.
actually was early January.
Right.
So I have like 2 weeks of a check, but still it's a W-2
Right.
generating out that.
Right.
In answer to your actual question, though, here's what the problem is that, and this is a little bit dated information, but it's still somewhat true. W-2s are not due to be filed with the IRS until January 31st.
Yep.
Now, you might get them in advance, but they might have not filed it until. And then on top of that, some people are still doing their papers now. It used to be, and I don't know how much this has improved, it should have improved, it used to be that the IRS was not done processing W-2s until June.
So it's not in there to show that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of correction letters don't start showing up until
July, August.
late May at the earliest.
Yeah.
Because it takes them that long to process all the W-2s, all the 1099s, to find out whether or not you're missing.
And that's usually where we end up with some upset clients because they filed in February. They haven't gotten their refund. They're still looking. They're looking online. It still says it's in process, and here it is May, and they don't know why they haven't gotten their refund yet. Well, because during the processing, the IRS has found an anomaly and is holding on to it to find out what the heck is actually going on.
Right.
Good part is we have the advance.
Well,
If they qualify.
When
the
we,
bad part is that if
They don't have that W-2 then.
if they filed the tax return and got their refund and the new W-2 actually knocked down what they should have been getting, like for instance, you got too much EIC, you need to pay it back, and by that time, it might be 3 months later. I spent it,
yeah,
and now I owe $1,000.
plus penalties and interest.
And so that's why we're always trying to hunt, and we know that there are some clients that we know, hey, they come in on January 20th, yeah, they're not ready.
I've got one client that comes in before January 5th with a W-2.
Matt has one guy that likes to come in every day, just to say hi.
I've
Bring a
got
little piece of paper.
I've got one client who comes in on like January 5th with a W-2 to file his tax return because he comes in December 8th or 9th to get his holiday advance. And then he's back. As soon as he gets his W-2 in his hot little hands, he's in. Very rarely does he come in after January 7th to file a tax return. He's usually in that first week to file a tax return. And every single year, compliance flags it, and I have to send his W-2 to compliance
Yep.
for him to clear it. But whenever anybody comes in prior to January 31st, we are always asking, is this all of your income? Are you sure? And if we put in 3 W-2s and there's still 2 more, We asked, did you work at such and such last year? No. Okay. They're like, oh no, God, I don't even know why you've got that on there. Well, because you worked at it the year before. So we had record that you worked at that establishment. If you don't have a W-2, fine, we'll take it off. And that's how we reconcile that.
But sometimes, like we said,
Yeah,
sometimes
sometimes
it's a little
they
fuzzy when I actually
have
left.
to.
Right.
And sometimes, and other times they had a job that was maybe for just 3 months out of the year. We had no record of it.
There,
They kind of forgot about it because, again, it was, I worked there January, February, March.
when it comes to filing electronically, there's a set set of parameters that the IRS looks for when we electronically file. They want to make sure that all of the names and all of the social security numbers match. They want to make sure mandatory documents like 1095As, IP pins, things like that are on there. If all of that's on there,
They process.
they accept it and begin processing it. They don't look at how many W-2s you have this year versus last year. The amount of your income is irrelevant as long as all of the pertinent information, your name, your socials, and the mandatory documents that need to be on a specific return are there. They accept it.
What's the most W-2s you've ever seen? For
What?
one person?
9?
13.
I think 10.
I've
I
had
think
9.
mine was 5, I think, 5 or 6.
13. She just jumped from job to job to job.
Yeah.
And you may get somebody that quit so late in December that their check actually came like first week January.
Right. So
and
they think,
they don't realize it.
yeah, they think because they got their check January 4th,
It's December and it's not.
that's I got that money in January. That's next year.
Yep.
And
But-
no.
Yeah, and again, you might get somebody who gets canned more than tuna. She has no idea how many W-2s she's getting. She forgot.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the places I worked.
Typically, if
They'll start
somebody-
showing up. Here's a. And it was that bad. Here's a $15 W-2. You work for an hour and a half.
yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, I've had W-2s for like $47.50.
You work for a day and didn't go back.
I have one too.
So
All right. So for every year that I need to make an amendment, I have to file a separate 1040X. I can't lump them all together in one amendment. They're year specific, which is IRS rules anyway.
Yep.
Every year it's its own picture. If you're mailing, mail them separately, but we can electronically file them. They would be electronically filed separately.
yes. And keep in mind when we go into a tax season. So in January we're going to be in tax season 2025. We can electronically file returns for 25, 24, 23, and
That's it,
22,
23.
and 22,
23.
and 22 up until April 15th.
It only 3 years. The current year and 2 others.
Unless they've changed
22
it.
is done.
Okay.
Unless they've changed it. They could have changed it.
22.
You can file
okay,
it, but you
yeah.
don't get a
22 has
refund.
Yeah,
to go.
never mind,
Typically,
yeah.
it's this year
22
plus
we have
2.
to paper file.
Yeah.
And-
22 we have to paper file.
Yeah, because I was trying to get one of my clients to get it done now.
It's still eligible.
I can do a 22 right now,
Yeah,
but time is
no,
limited.
22 is done. Can't file 22.
Is IRS shut down?
22, you cannot file a 2022. Oh no, yeah, 22. Okay,
I can file like
21.
21
Yeah,
you can't.
21.
That's
Once April 15th comes around, 2022 will no longer be viable for a refund.
basically what you're
You
hearing
can
there is
file them, but you don't get
You don't-
the money.
basically what you're hearing though is that the IRS is also limited on their bandwidth about what they can have active. They can have 3 years. This one plus the last 2.
Well, the one that I was running into said it wasn't an IRS issue. It was Drake. The Drake parameters wouldn't allow you to go back more than 3 years.
Yeah.
So you'd have to file paper if
Right.
it's.
Right.
for that.
If
Yeah.
they come in with a 22 return before April 15th of 26, they can paper file that return and get a refund from it if they're
Yeah.
due one. But after April 15th, 22 drops off, and it's the current year plus 2. That's 3 after the season ends. Before that, it's the current year
But
plus
that's
3.
just for electronic.
electronic.
Well, electronic is
And refund.
electronic and
Oh,
refunds
refund, okay.
are current year plus 2.
Yeah.
Filing for a refund is current year plus 3, and the third year you'd have to file paper. But as long as it's postmarked before April 15th,
You stand a chance of getting anything.
you would, if you were due a refund from that, you would get it.
Don't forget when you're filing a 1040X that you are probably screwing yourself at the state.
Yep.
Don't forget to file an amended state return.
Yes.
If you get a letter from the IRS, expect one from the state. Unless I'm filing an amended return. If I file the amended return and just decide that the IRS numbers were off and file it, I can file an amended return with the state at that time and head the letter off at the pass. But if I have a client come in with an IRS letter, I'm going to be expecting a Kansas letter in another month.
Like,
Because Kansas as a base, different states do different things. Kansas as a base takes the federal adjusted gross income and then does what it wants to do on the state level. So if you make an adjustment to income on the federal level, you're changing the state level.
have we heard anything about the new income adjustments at federal? Have we heard anything from state? I haven't seen anything.
No.
So like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. We're gonna have to go in and make an adjustment on the state for that.
And we have no idea what, and I'm hoping Fusion will be programmed to be able to handle it. But right now, two things. Shannon did submit a ticket, and we did get an answer from,
I actually forwarded it to those three.
we actually did get a response from corporate saying there's a definite possibility that they might have training up next week.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
So there's a definite maybe
Which still only gives us 2 weeks to get it done.
for,
Yeah.
And you've got a holiday in there.
In there. Yeah.
Testing.
no, it doesn't apply to you.
No, so when the testing comes out, the reason we want the testing out is because myself, Shannon, Shane, Suzanne, we're all going to be doing the holiday advances, and we have to have testing done prior to December 8th when the holiday advances come out, so that we can do holiday advances out of our
Well, it
office.
sounds stupid, but what is a holiday event?
It's the old refund anticipation run. I do a rough version of your tax return based off of your final paycheck stub to see if you're getting a refund, and then you can apply for the bank based off of this information for a percentage of that as a early refund.
Liberty,
So it's a loan.
yeah, Liberty tax.
35.99% of the
Yeah.
No.
Interest? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like doing it.
Does anybody do?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We have lots
Yeah,
of people
do
doing
You
it.
click
Yes.
this. These
Here's the
ladies
thing.
that got them babies that
Here's the thing.
crack
A
'em
lot
up,
of
yeah,
our
they'll
people.
even know.
Here's the thing. A lot of people that qualify for earnings and credit and stuff like that, they don't think of that money as theirs in one regard. They never have it. They never will. So
It's
that's-
free money from the government
Yeah.
as far as they see it. So
Like on 6,500 and whatever our thing is, that amount's like $198.
and
Yeah.
there's
And
there's
it
only
comes out your refund
and
too.
there's only so much that we can actually do as a holiday loan.
Yeah.
There's set amounts. There's not, okay, we look like you're getting $10,000. You want a $10,000 loan? No, that doesn't exist.
no.
You guys advertise it?
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah,
A
so
little bit.
starting December 8th through January 17th, you'll be able to come in. We need your pay stubs for the year,
Current
the
and
most
everything.
current pay stubs that you have for the year,
Plus the last ones from any jobs that you left.
right? Plus the last ones from any jobs that you left, and we do up what we consider as a potential tax refund.
Yeah, I do a mock return.
And we don't set out how much you get. We put all the information in and send it to corporate. Corporate then decides whether or not you've got enough of a refund to qualify for anything, how much they're willing to loan you, and then we go from there.
Yeah.
And you can only
still be denied.
yes,
Don't
we have
they
people.
Look at if you have garnishment.
They look to see if you have garnishment too,
Yeah.
yes.
They look to see if you have garnishments. They look to see if you had your refund recaptured.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
You know, if last year you had a $3,000 refund and you had it recaptured, and you come in this year and it looks like you're going to get another $3,000 refund, you might not qualify for the holiday advance or for the easy advance because last year your refund was recaptured.
So then are they locked in on coming to you to do the taxes?
They're
No.
supposed to be,
They're
but
supposed to.
But you can pay it off and go any place that you want.
Or you can do like some clients have done and come in and do the holiday advance and then go to H&R Block and do your tax return. Now, that does not mean that you're not going to get a letter from Republic Bank saying, I want my $1,200 that we loaned you for your holiday advance.
Yeah.
Because you probably will.
and you will do training on the loan on both of them, the holiday and the easy advance, because what?
The Fast 100.
Yeah, well,
Stop confusing the whole thing.
Yeah.
but on the two loans, you're going to test over those because when you come on due in January, you will be able to do the easy advance.
Yeah.
The holiday advance will be done, but
Maybe.
Maybe.
but you're still going to be able to do the easy advance, and you need to know how to do that.
Yeah.
They're both very similar.
And they're easy to apply.
And we'll talk. I mean,
So do they get charged for this office to do that for them?
No.
When they come in and they do their tax return and they want to do the easy advance, there's going to be a screen on there where it's going to figure out how much their federal, how much their state refunds are, what their total refund is, what all of our fees are, what amount of the advance that you want, and it'll add it all up, take it all out of the refund,
And show you what's like.
and
But
said, this is what you'll get for your final refund amount after everything else is taken out, assuming you get this X amount of dollars for your easy advance. Now, that does not mean that you've gotten that advance. We still have to file it, and you still have to be approved for it.
Right.
If you're not approved for it, then the amount of the advance, the amount of the finance fee that comes out of that gets added back to your refund, and that will become your new number for your total refund coming back to you. Just because you've applied for it doesn't mean you automatically get it. There's
We don't do
The answer to
any
your
other
question,
numbers.
though, is no. We, as the office, as Liberty, we do not do an extra charge for the advances in any shape or form. The finance charge and the loan itself comes from Republic Bank.
Yeah.
So no, we do not add any extra charge.
Yep.
That was her question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, the finance fees are through the bank, not
Yeah.
through Liberty.
and they're all set fees up front. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's no real surprise on that. And oh, I lost my train of thought.
Plus we
Yeah.
explain it at least.
Oh, and it'll
4
be
times.
automatically. Usually, it's set up where it's automatically coming out of your refund, so they never see it. And that's one of the reasons why it never bothers them,
Yeah.
because they never saw it to begin with. They never had it to start with. They never saw it at the ending.
Single parent comes in with 3 kids. She's getting a $9,000 refund. She wants to apply for the easy advance. We put everything in. Bada boom, bada bing. Everything goes through. Next day, she gets $4,500 because that's the advance she wanted. She gets $4,500 put on her Deep Blue. Return goes in, gets processed by the IRS. Everything's said and done. Bada boom, bada bing. She's got another $4,000 that gets put on her Deep Blue card for her IRS refund.
Yep.
That's all that they see. That's all that they care about.
The reason why the easy advance exists, though, is because you could come in January 16th and file a tax return. And if you have dependents on it, or you qualify for earned income credit, the IRS, by law, is not allowed to process that return until after February 15th.
Yes, Path Act.
So you could come in and file a return and say, well, I'm getting $10,000. You're not going to see a dime of that until
It's-
the middle
March.
of February at the earliest.
Yep.
And if Guido's knocking down your door, yeah, you might want to consider getting an advance.
Now, there have been instances where someone's come in on January 15th, filed a tax return, and gotten their refund January 27th.
Yeah, but that's usually.
But that's because that's typically the IRS doesn't turn their computers back on until like the last week of January. But the last half of January, they start pulling test batches from people that have already come in and filed a tax return to test their tax software.
Right.
Because I've had people come in, I've had clients come in that, came in January 15th, filed their tax return this year, got paid, got their refund January 28th. But right before they open the computers. And then the next year they come in, they file the same time, but all of a sudden they don't get their refund until first part of March. And they're on the phone, where's my where I got paid the 28th of January, where's my where? And we have to explain to them, look, according to this, technically, they're not supposed to process your return until this date.
You need to be included in what they call a batch test, where
Yes.
they call up Liberty, they call up H&R Block, they call up Jackson Hewitt, they call up Intuit and say, send us 10,000 returns.
Right. And all they're wanting to do is test their
software.
software.
They're looking for bugs.
And
The other thing is if we're not busy and you have a client that's applied for an advance, if you sit here with them 10 minutes or so after you've transmitted, sometimes you get an answer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if it rejects, it's even better because
They're still here.
they're still here.
You don't have to call them on the phone and say, hey, it looks like,
So yeah, if they're not busy, I'm like, you want to hang out and see if you get an approval or a denial in the next 10 minutes? They're like, hell yeah.
So now that you've been loaded down with 10 minutes of information that
you didn't need.
you don't need right now, no, that's fine. I just worry about getting confused because you haven't had the official training, which talks about everything that we just talked about, probably in a little bit better way.
But when you start going through your testing and we're here together, Sharon, you can ask questions while you're going through your
Yeah.
testing.
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, we're not gonna keep that a secret.
No.
All right,
Know
so
that.
1040X column A is what's on the original return. Column B is what I'm changing. Column C is the result of the changes. Do not put information in rows that you're not changing. So up here, if I'm changing estimated tax payments from prior year return, I forgot to add it on there. I'm leaving all of this up here blank. I'm only changing this one line down here. And that's the only thing I'm doing. Except for on the back. On the back, I have to tell the IRS why I'm changing it. The reason for my 1040X.
And in our system, it's really, really simple.
Yeah.
You load up the 1040X, you click pre-fill this, go down, put in your reason for making your changes, save it, then go into the system and make your change.
Yeah, and you're basically done.
Yeah, and you're done. The computer will fill out everything else for you.
1040X is the easiest form in the world as long as the client filed the original with us.
Yes.
If they did not file the original, it does get a little bit more complicated, but it's not a disaster.
So if they didn't follow those, you're going to bring in there.
I need your 1040. I need to know what's on file so I know what I'm fixing.
And if they don't have it, then I have to have all of your income documents from the year that I'm amending.
Yeah.
Because I have to go into my system,
And basically make
recreate your entire tax return, and then amend it.
and make sure that if you're fixing something, so like they forgot to include a W-2, and make sure that when you're making the base return, you don't put it in there.
Yes.
Wait.
Wait until you do the amendment to put the new W-2 in that you're amending the return for. Otherwise, it'll look at you and go, you don't need this.
All right. If your 1040X says that you owe money, you can send it in with your return.
Yep.
You set up for direct draft, we can set you up with a payment voucher so you can go mail it. If you do a refund, well, you might see it in 6 to 8 weeks,
If you're lucky.
if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. My clients that I have coming in today that are amending the return I filed for them on Monday. The return we filed on Monday said they owed the IRS. The amendment that we're filing says they're getting a refund. When they come in to sign for this amendment and we file it, I'm going to tell them not to expect their refund until after the first of the year sometime. Because it'll probably take every bit of that long for them to get through everything. And as late in the year as it is, once we roll over to January 2nd, the IRS is not going to care about tax year 2024 returns, amendments, or anything else. They're going to go to the bottom of the pile, and the only thing they're going to focus on is tax year 2025.
All right.
So it may even be later than January before they get a refund for 2024.
So let us talk about due diligence.
Anybody want more coffee?
I haven't had any, so yes, I would like some. Please.
Matt, do you want one?
Yes, please.
So in this chapter, we're going to talk a little bit about tax preparer responsibilities, tax-related identity theft, and safeguarding taxpayer data, and some taxpayer identification numbers. Our whole thing is right now is just to understand your role as a tax professional as far as the IRS is concerned when it comes to dealing with the data that's in front of you. This is an odd place for this, but if you have a foreign address, put it on the form. In Fusion, you have to actually click a little button that says, I need to add an international address, a foreign address. And then just fill it out the normal way that you, as best as you can. Not all places have a zip code. Frustratingly, most places have alphanumeric zip codes, which pisses me off every time that I try and run my Canadian's credit card because I can't. Because it won't take letters. Every year I bitch to corporate. Every year they say, well, that's something we'll look into. Every year I have to do my Canadians basically for free. Because I can't run their credit card. Thank you very much. Like we said, do it as best you can. There's a line on the 1040 that allows for a third-party designation. It's not as strong as you think it is. By clicking this box, theoretically, you're allowing some party to talk to the IRS about this return. And then the IRS will go ahead and say, well, I'm not going to talk to you about this until you file a power of attorney form.
Typically, this is filled with our names in
Yes.
this slot when we do a tax return. Because we're paid tax return preparers.
Yeah.
Typically, the third-party designee, when we file a tax return for a client, our name and our P-10s will be in that
The
slot.
actual preparer of the return is going to be the one that's being designated as the third-party designee.
Yep.
Sometimes the IRS will talk to you about it. It just depends on how deep you're going into it.
And depends on whether or not you are an AFSP member as well.
Yes.
If you don't get an AFSP certification
They don't
and you're
talk
not
to
part
you.
of the program, you'll never hear from them.
They don't consider you worthy. Basically, that's true.
It is. They'll run your name and P10, and if you don't come up on an AFSP, EA, CPA, RTRP, lawyer, something along those lines, they ignore you.
Yeah.
If you do come up on one of those lists,
They'll
you
talk
might
to
get
you.
a letter. You probably get a letter saying, "Hey, you filed a return for such and such a client. We need to talk."
Or, they'll still say, yeah, just go ahead and, there's a special form, I forget what the number is, but file file a power of attorney form.
Yeah.
So by doing this, you're telling the IRS to share any information about what's missing on the return, be able to call the IRS for information about processing of the return, receive copies of transcripts or notices upon request, and respond to certain notices about math errors, offsets, and return preparation. Like I said, good luck. I mean, in this room, there are only two people that have a shot at this. That's me and Matt. And even at that, it's not a given.
No. At the moment, Shane and I can basically go to the initial meeting with a tax auditor.
Only about returns that
We
did.
filed. If it's Suzanne's client, they're on their own. If I actually filed the tax return, then I can go to that initial meeting with them. If it goes beyond that initial meeting, then my advice to my client is you need to get with a CPA, tax attorney, something like that can walk you through the tax court process.
Yeah.
That's not me.
We don't have that.
Ability. If I can never get through my friggin' depreciation understanding, it might be different if I can get my EA. But
Alright, so third-party designee does not mean that they're going to get the check. All this is just authorizing the IRS to share some information, perhaps. Authorization ends automatically after 1 year.
Yep.
No tax return preparer may endorse or otherwise negotiate directly through an agent a check for a refund that's issued to a taxpayer for whom she prepared a return or claim for refund. Penalty is $635 per preparer who endorses per instance. There's no maximum. Unless it's not something we do at Liberty. It's not something that we can do at Liberty.
no. So if you have a check cut at the office,
Shut up.
if you have a check cut at our office, we're going to hand you a check. You can't turn around and say, "Okay, I need you to cash this." We can't go, "Okay, well, you've got a $3,000 check. We charge 10% to cash it. I'll give you $2,700, and we keep $3." That's illegal.
Yeah.
That's tantamount to me saying, "Well, you're getting a $3,000 refund. My fees are $450 because I charge 15% of the refund for my fees." That's illegal.
Also illegal.
You can't charge on a contingency basis, and we can't negotiate refund checks. Basis being is if we could, it would be in our best interest as preparers to get the largest refunds for our client, regardless of whether it was legal or not.
So yes, I can't cash your check. You need to go down to
You need to go next door, or
2 doors down.
2 doors down, and cash your check.
Or go to Ace.
Yes.
Are those our stores?
No.
No. Brett doesn't have a store that really does that.
No. Brett. The only other stores I think Brett has up here are Title Loan
Yeah,
stores.
he has a couple of. He has, I think, 3 title stores.
And that's it. And you can't go and cash a check at the title store.
Actually, they don't even have cash.
No, they just process your loan, and then you get your
You get a check.
loan amount.
You get a check from them.
Oh, do they get a check? I figured it was just direct deposit.
Nope, it's a check.
Like we've said before, individual tax returns can be filed using e-file, but you're limited to this year and the last 2. So 3 total. Can be your e-file year-round except for a short cut over period at the end of the calendar year, which officially has not been announced yet, but most of that's because of the government shutdown.
Yeah.
I typically anticipate it being sometime next week, if not Monday of next week. Usually that week before Thanksgiving. Somewhere in there is usually the last day. That gives the IRS time to clean out the system of the return that can't be accepted anymore electronically and start plugging in the data of the new year.
Yeah, it just says here it'll be sometime in late November. So,
Some things can't be electronically filed still, although that list gets shorter and shorter all the time. One of the things that can't be electronically filed, tax returns that don't use a calendar year as the fiscal year. Because hey, if my quarter four is in, if my fourth quarter stops on August 31st, I can file my tax return technically on September 1st.
and not be late.
Yeah. Because that's my fiscal year. And we've talked about some returns that contain form or schedules that cannot be processed by the IRS e-file. We showed that form. I forget what the number is. Then we talked about how we can still even attach those as a PDF now, so it's getting easier, even though technically I'm not sending it electronically, but I am transmitting it electronically as an attachment. So it doesn't get processed as electronic return at that point, but it can be as soon as somebody at the IRS actually opens it up and looks at the attachments. One thing that's an attachment, for instance, is the 8332, allowing somebody else to claim the dependent as a dependent on their tax return. That typically needs to be mailed in, although we can scan it in and attach it as a PDF. I can still mail it in, I just need the cover form. Due dates that are for filing returns that apply to electronically filed returns also. A provider that receives a return for electronic filing on or before the due date must ensure that it transmits the electronic portion of the return before the due date. Meaning, I can't sit on a tax return that's done for no good reason. If it's done, I basically need to get it out today. Unless I have a reason.
Most of ours is electronic signature.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not done. That's not a done return as far as what we're talking about here. Done is done.
Like up until Monday, the Nashes, even though they'd filed and been rejected back, they're not done.
But they didn't get that last signature.
When when my client came in on Monday and signed, and I was actually able to file, now she's done. She still has an amendment that she has to do, but technically she's done and filed for the year.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean I have to transmit it electronically right this minute. I mean, we do double checks.
Yeah.
But we always make sure we've been really good about making sure that all double checks for the day are done before we leave.
Yep. You might come in at 10 o'clock in the morning and file your tax return. It might not get double checked until 6:30 that evening,
But it's still going out that day.
but it's still going out that day.
Unless we have an advance, then we try and get it.
Yeah.
ASAP.
Yeah, if there's an advance on there,
It's
then
first.
yeah, we
We bend over backwards and try and get that one transmitted.
yeah
Double checked and transmitted right away.
a lot of
All
times.
returns are double checked. I don't care who you are. My returns get double checked. I want that. Matt's returns get double checked. He wants that. I want you to find that mistake. I don't want the IRS to find that mistake. I want to fix it now.
I want you to find that mistake so that I can call my client and get them back in and re-sign it before we send it. Because I don't want to have to try to figure out how to explain to my client that we transposed two numbers. They're getting $1,000 less refund than what they should have gotten when they left.
Yep.
And then we have to file an amendment for free because it was our screw up.
Right.
And if we're not busy, sometimes we'll double check while they're here.
Yeah.
There's been times when I do that. You know, Shannon's just sitting there. It's like, here, give this a once over real quick.
Especially if it's it's got a loan product on
Yeah.
it and we're not busy. Shannon does the return, turns around, hands it to Shane. Shane double checks it, files it.
I had a family of 3 last year come in. The parents were doing one, they had one 19-year-old that was doing one, and then another one that was doing one for the first time. And by the time I was done with the last one, The other two had already been double checked and we had answers.
Which brings up a good point. Technically, ethically, I'm not supposed to do, as a single person, that scenario what Amy was just talking about, and she didn't. Everybody did their own part of it.
Right, like my daughter's brother-in-law lived with them. I couldn't do his return, I had to have Matt do it because I knew him do that. And now he can't come that out.
Yeah, if you've got a client that has children, or if you have a client who is married, okay, if that client comes in and sits with me and does the tax return, and that spouse walks in, technically, ethically, I can't do that tax return. I did his wife's. I have to give it to one of these two.
Cause I had that.
But-
deal.
There,
But
yeah.
for safety's sake, when she comes in and sits down, and I know she was married last year and she's filing head of household this year because she got a divorce, I am going to inform her, let your husband know he cannot come to my office and do his tax return. He can go to any other Liberty Tax he wants, but he cannot come to my office and do his tax return. So if he wants to come sit at Shane's office and have Shane's office do the tax return, that's not a conflict of interest. Shane's office has no idea what this guy's tax return was. Yes, they can pull up last year's and see, but they don't have the personal knowledge that my office would have.
For her.
I did tick off a client one time because they got a divorce, but it was amicable.
The
And-
couple that I had weren't, he said he worked and does blah 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 at mama's house and has the kids 24/7. He did not.
Well, remember,
So that one was fun. Two
Re-
different people.
remember Michelle's? The couple that were separated, they were still legally married, but they were separated, going through a divorce, filing joint, but couldn't stand to be in the office together. Wouldn't let us split the refund, half to her, half to him, or whatever percentage. He wanted that check in his hand right then and there, and he was willing to pay the $40 for the check, but he wouldn't come down. We couldn't issue the check until both of them were standing there, and we had to give the check to him, not her, even though they're both on the return. So because he wanted to make sure that check went into his hands so he could give her what he wanted out of that check, we told him, fine, both of you have to come down to get the check. We will not release the check to just one of you.
We do have a married filing separate couple. We, one person in this office does their return. They want to file married filing separate because it actually benefits them better. And they know this because they had us run it. They will both sit at the desk. They don't care what the other is dealing with.
But they have to agree to that every year.
Yes, every year they have to sit in front of me or Shane and say, I'm okay with her doing both of our returns, doing both of us at the same time to finish, issuing both of us whatever.
The refunds that we're entitled to, or
Right.
the
If a minor child actually comes in and sits down at my desk with their mom to do a tax return, I technically have to ask the child, hey, this is your business. Do you want your mom sitting here?
Yep.
I do that
I
too.
need permission.
We do that. Even if like if Shayna's doing a return and we're trying to learn little aspects of what information they brought in, we ask permission to stand. Or
Yeah.
we actually don't stand. We pull a chair
Yeah,
over.
we usually pull a
sit,
chair over.
so that we're not standing over somebody. That can be.
But we always ask the client permission. Do you mind if my preparer
learn.
comes over and observes the return?
And I had one last year that said no.
Yep.
I did not want.
Oh, that's
anybody
fine.
else knowing.
We have a couple clients that would do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we do.
And it's
You go
not a
sit over
problem.
there then. I'm not going any farther on this tax return until you.
But yet we can hear everything going
That's what I
on.
was
It
gonna say,
does-
it's
it-
not like it's a whole lot of privacy, you just can't see the numbers.
You can't see the numbers, and we try and keep it quiet. And
Well, we keep our computer monitors turned too, where no one else can
Right.
see them.
Yeah. you notice this is my seating area, which doesn't look much, but not one monitor can be seen from the seating area.
Same thing at our office.
Now,
You can't see anything on any of our monitors from the sitting area where people are waiting to have their taxes done.
The only
And
time
also-
we turn our monitors is when it's time to explain, and then we only turn it so far and look. And if not, we have to move the trailer.
All right. The other thing is, if a return has been electronically filed after the due date, and the extension has not been accepted by the ask for the return is not considered timely filed. I have 3 days though. If I file on April 15th and it rejects, the IRS does say, okay, well, we see that you made an attempt, so we're not going to count it late yet. You have 3 days to fix it.
I think the other reason they do that is because we can transmit stuff on April 15th and come in the next morning and it's still not acknowledged.
Yeah.
They're still trying to get to it.
Because there are times that even technology can't keep up with the demand, and April 15th is one of those days.
Yes. Yeah, you'll sit there and all year long it'll take about 2 minutes for the IRS to start accepting stuff once they
Except
turn their
that last
computer
day.
on. Except for April 15th, you'll file a return and everybody will be ready to go home. It'll be 10 o'clock at night. Everybody ready to go home, and you'll look and you'll still have 20 returns waiting to be acknowledged. It's
Yep.
like
And you come in the next morning and those 20 are still there.
waiting to be acknowledged.
And they might get that afternoon.
Yeah.
The IRS does not consider return filed until they acknowledge it. And there's a couple of different ways in our system to actually see the acknowledgments.
Yes.
In addition to signing the tax return, it is the responsibility of the preparer to include his or her preparer identification number on the tax return.
8879.
No, it actually shows up on the tax return down the signature section. Your P10's on the 1040.
Oh yeah. Down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, down at the bottom underneath your client's signatures, or because we're electronically filing their 5-digit PIN.
Yeah.
Underneath that will be your name, the address of the office that you're working out of, your P10, and the date.
It's in a section called Pay Preparer.
Yep.
If you went to Vita, that section's blank.
Yep.
Because
They're not ready.
they're not paid.
It's when you go to the Vita program, you're considered self-filed. Just like if you went online to TurboTax and used TurboTax, you're considered self-filed. Because you're not exchanging any money, basically. Even though TurboTax charges you for use of their software, which, as far as I'm concerned, should qualify them as a paid preparer.
Yeah, I agree.
But because they don't actually put any of the information in, they get around it.
Just so you know, if you start a paper return, you have to physically sign it next to your name that's on there. But if it ends up being after season, we're going to change it out of your name and put it in somebody that's here.
Yeah.
Just so you don't have to come rushing back
To sign it.
just to sign it.
Yeah.
Unless you want to.
Yeah. And you're more than welcome to.
But that would be the only reason, is if we weren't able to electronically file a return after the end of season, we would change it to whoever's monitoring the office. That way it can get done for the ease of the client.
We don't go behind people and
No.
we don't run that.
Specifically.
We don't run that way.
No. We even, I mean, if I have a client that I start a return for at Rock Road, and for whatever reason they don't like the way I'm handling things, and they leave and they come over here and they sit with Shannon, and Shannon's doing their return, Shannon will call me and say, hey, look, you really didn't get very far. I'm going to go ahead and switch this out of your name into mine. Yeah, not a problem.
Now,
And I've done that internally in the office too.
Yeah,
You started a return, I turned it over to somebody else. Well, hell, you did all the work. I'll change it.
yeah.
Now, the other thing is let's say that Matt did get it and it's ready to go. But for some reason, they left his office and a couple days later they come here to finish. And let's say Matt didn't put his P10 in, it's on the back end.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
would go back, pull his P10, put it in, and proceed as if he did it.
Yeah,
So there
especially,
are things we
yeah, especially if all they're doing is coming in and signing a return
to finish.
to finish. You know, if Shannon starts one and comes over to our office, and her client comes over to our office because they couldn't get off work until 8 o'clock, and these guys were already closed, so they come to our office. If I'm just finishing a return, yeah, I just put Shannon's P10 in, the date, and have them sign and go.
Signing is making a declaration that what you say is on this tax return is true and accurate. Now, we know that there are good liars out there, but we've done our best.
Mm-hmm.
We've done our best. You've been taught. You've taken trainings about due diligence. And if the IRS recognizes that, just the fact that we do double checks basically gets you off the hook with the IRS. As third party looked at it with fresh eyes, they came to the same conclusion that you did. You're basically going to be off the hook.
And the best double check, it's a pain in the ass, but the best double check is when I do a return and I click submit the form and it pops up and it says compliance required. Send this information.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I load up the information they want. I send it into compliance. As soon as compliance releases that document on my double check slot on my envelope, I write down compliance review, and when it comes back from compliance review, it'll have the name of the person that conducted the review. I put their name on there, approved, and I ship it. Because nobody in my office double checked the return. Corporate double check the return. And that way, if we get a letter in the office that says, hey,
Blah, blah, blah.
here's $6,000 of due diligence fees because you didn't do this. I can turn around and send that letter to corporate along with our envelope showing it went to compliance. Compliance cleared it. What the heck is this?
Have you ever been fined?
No.
No. Because we have
I've
systems
never
in place.
been close.
And even at that, the IRS actually would monitor, and they might send you an actual warning letter.
Yeah.
Say, hey, we've been monitoring your returns. We kind of don't like what we're seeing. Shape up.
Yeah.
We
We've
did
never-
have one employee that had
That one.
an issue and was banned.
Is that Rock Road office?
I thought it was Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was Oklahoma.
I thought that one.
Yeah. No. If
person
But never here, never Rock Road.
let's say you have a client come in, he gives you a W-2 for $5,000. His sister's disabled. He wants to claim his sister on his tax return as a dependent. So you're doing the return, and in his packet of stuff, he's got a 1098-T in his sister's name for $16,000 worth of qualified education expenses. He has a W-2 for $5,000. If you put all of that on the return with his sister as a dependent, you're liable to get a letter from the IRS saying, hey, we think you were a little lax on due diligence. They won't tell you what it was, but they will say, we've been looking over your returns. You're a little lax on due diligence. We're going to watch your returns and see how you do. And if you don't have any other problems, then it's a no harm, no foul thing. But if they start finding that you're doing these returns on a regular basis, then you're going to start getting hit.
Me personally, I'm too scared.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but we don't have to be. I mean,
I don't want to be paying that fine. That's why I'm scared.
and we're not, because we've got so many things in place.
Right.
Not only are we monitoring as bosses, I'm listening to what's happening at your desk. Even if I have a client, I'm still listening.
It's hard not to for all of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We listen. You know,
Especially if it's a topic that we're not familiar with on a return daily basis. It's like, ooh, you're trying to like,
Well,
but you gotta stay here, but sometimes you do pick up a little something.
once you get through your first couple of seasons, you start picking up on keywords.
Yeah.
And we'll be sitting there doing a return with somebody else, and all of a sudden you'll hear a couple of these keywords, ticket, and it'll draw your attention. And you'll start listening to what's going on over there. Even though you're putting stuff in here, you'll be listening to what's going on over here. And if something is being said that's not right, then typically, depending upon the severity of what's going on, we either wait and get with that preparer afterwards and correct them, or we kind of get up, stroll over, and what's going on? How's it going?
Yeah, stick our nose in. Sometimes I'll just send you a text.
Yeah,
Hey, this doesn't sound right.
yeah,
They listen to the client too.
Yeah.
Because
I'm more
body
listening.
language.
Yeah.
I'm more listening
Yeah.
to clients than
Yeah.
my boss about.
Yeah,
the
or
thing.
that's what we like to use. It's like, oh, well, we need to ask so and so.
yeah. They push it all off on me.
And
Yeah.
then, but then it gives, because that way we can walk away and then go say, man, this doesn't feel right. I'm not doing this.
But so yeah, and then we'll either take over or send them on their way.
Yeah.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Sometimes the best possible result is they left,
Yes,
and that's fine.
yes.
Good riddance.
There's no merit in processing a return and taking the chance on a $635 fine for you
And
just to make them happy. Because it's not just a fine on you; it's a fine on you. It's a fine on Brett.
Per occurrence.
Yes,
You can have multiple on the same.
Question.
You can have multiple on the same return.
Yep.
But like I said, we're listening. Then we double check it physically. Then it goes to corporate, who actually has because Matt talked about compliance review. They have an algorithm that looks at every return, and if it triggers one of the things on the algorithm, it goes to corporate for compliance, where they basically come back and say, and this happens on my mother-in-law's. Hey, you got $100,000 in medical expenses on Schedule A. Prove it.
yeah,
And I gotta send them all my receipts.
yeah.
Which
And
I
another
do.
question
It's a stack
is
this
about
thick,
my
but I
money.
send them.
I got last year. I did a return for a client. God, I don't remember who it was I was doing, but my fees, and I didn't add anything. My fees came up to like $1,500.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, but it
I
was
s-
a big one.
I know.
It was a big Schedule C.
I know, but still.
And my fee, I didn't mess with anything. I didn't adjust anything. I didn't discount anything. Fees were $1,500. And when, the client paid the fees up front, didn't have a problem with it. Paid the fees, and I went to submit it, and I immediately got a compliance message from corporate wanting to know why my fees were $1,500. And I just sent them the entire return with everything that I had collected for it. And they cleared on it, but yeah. If you-
Having an office with big fees on a regular basis is actually a red flag.
yes. So if you, not saying that you can't have a return where your fees come out to be $1,000, $1,200, $1,500. Sure. Once, maybe
Once or
twice a season, not going to be a big deal. They're going to ask about it. They're going to want to see it for their state of mind. But it's not a big deal. Now, if you're processing 2 or 3 returns a week for the entire tax season at $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 per return, you're going to get audited. Somebody's going to come down and want to see all of those returns.
Corporate's going to do it because IRS is going to do it.
Yes. Corporate's going to come down and do an audit, and then probably in the off season, you're going to get an IRS agent comes down
How does the
and
IRS know what to charge?
Because as part of, especially when they're doing a financial product, it's actually
in the return.
part of the package.
Yeah.
It gets transmitted.
Now, the nice thing about the financial products is, say I do a return and my fees are $1,500 and my client is getting a $4,000 refund, legitimately. He can't use a financial product. Cannot use a financial product. He can't pay that $1,500 fee out of his $4,000 refund. There's a cap on financial products. You can't go above $1,000. So if he wants to take my fees out of there, I have to do one of two things. He has to pay me $501 up front in cash, and then I can put the $999 on there, or I have to discount the return down below $1,000 so he can pay for it.
So he can use his refund to pay for it.
Yeah.
And that's an SEC.
Yeah. And typically that's what we end up doing.
Yeah. So we do a double check and we find a little bit of mistake. sometimes it doesn't mean much. If I find a mistake on a social security number and I fix it around, I probably need new signatures, especially if it's the taxpayer or the spouse.
Mm-hmm.
If it's on a dependent, it might not trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if the amounts differ by more than $50 on total income or adjusted gross income or $14 on tax,
Owed or refunded.
you'll need new signatures. It'll automatically say, hey, you can't transmit this, you need new signatures.
Financial products too.
Yeah, financial products are even more fussy.
Yeah. If there's a financial product on there,
that
and
like
it
just a
changes the amount of the
safeguard,
refund transfer or whatever, then yes, you'll have to do. I mean, even if it's $25, even if it changes it only by $25
Yeah.
on the financial product, you will have to do a new signature.
What?
Is that sometimes like a safeguard to re-explain the changes to your
Yes.
plan?
Yes,
Yes.
that stops you from
Especially if it's,
making a fraudulent return.
especially if it's reducing the amount.
Well, that's also to stop you. I'm going to go back and I'm going to change it so you get a big, huge EIC. I'm going to file an 8888 so I can get part of the refund sent to me. And that's what that's supposed to stop.
Yep.
All right, so ERO almost also must show up on this. Well, that's Brett's problem, so we're not going to worry about that. He takes care of that. He's the ERO.
Yeah. The ERO, the EFIN, that's all on Brett. We don't have anything to do with that.
According to the IRS, I have 3 days to submit a return that's finished. Rarely do I have a return that's more than 24 hours. And that's maybe because they came in late and then I got swamped early.
About the only reason that we would have a return not transmitted within 24 hours is if one of us are by ourselves at the office late Saturday night, and a client came in late Saturday night, did the return. We
My next
set it
note.
for double check. It'll get double checked Monday morning and go
Right.
out the door.
Yeah, that's basically the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Almost all returns are double checked the day that they're done.
But I mean, and even so, even with that scenario, if we've got a client, if Shannon's here by herself, and she's got a client that comes in to do a return, and they've got a loan product on there, Shannon will call my office and say, "Hey, can you double check this real quick?" And we'll double check from that office what she's done here, and then send it if it's good.
Yeah, because we could scan in all the documents so we can look and make sure that the numbers are right.
Yep.
The W-2 count is right. Everything's the way that it should be. So we could do that in an emergency case.
The only time that I've really seen this office missing is if we just got so busy we didn't realize they were bankrupt.
That,
Shane would come in the morning and
that
go,
happens. Yeah, that's why I was saying, for us, usually the worst case scenario is that
it's just the next morning.
it's the next morning.
But it's never in advance.
Yeah.
Never in advance.
Yeah. Typically, if somebody comes in and wants an advance on the return, we get those done as soon as we can.
We try and hand it off immediately.
Yeah. Even if we have to do like I said, even if Shannon's by herself, I'm by myself. If she's got one that needs double checked because it's got a loan on it, she'll call our office and have whoever's there double check it. And we'll do the same thing. Hey, I've got a client here who just did this. Can you double check it? And since we have each other's phone numbers, if somebody's not there and at home, we can do it from our houses even.
Well,
if we
yeah,
need
and
to.
I've double checked for Fort Smith. I've double checked for Stilly,
Yeah.
Sapulpa, back in the day.
No, he's talking to me, Matt, or Shane.
All right, so holding a return, you need to hold it for at least 3 tax.
That's
tax
okay. Your
professionals
number's set to go to
hold for
spam.
7, which we are kind of doing now automatically. Now that we're scanning all the documents, I'm not so much worried about what's in the file cabinet anymore. It's
No.
not relevant.
No.
I technically I could go back there and shred last year's documents because everything was scanned. I don't. I'll still wait at least the 3.
I've got a processing room full of freaking stuff that I need to have shredded.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got 23 and 24 in my file room that I need to box up and get out of there. But in our folders, typically, the only thing we have in our folders is our document for the QR code thing for our uploads,
Yeah.
our office invoice, and a double check sheet.
Yep.
And any receipts. So if they paid with a credit card, paid by cash or whatever, those receipts. That's the only thing in the folders.
And the client data sheet.
No, client data sheet I send with them.
Really?
Yeah, when we scanned everything in,
They keep it.
Yeah, I still keep it.
when we scan everything in, we scan in the client data sheet as part of that packet.
I do too, but I still keep it.
And I send it home with them. We staple it to the inside of their envelope or the inside of their folder, and it goes home with them. We
The
don't
main reason
keep.
why we did it is to show that this is the information you gave us.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason why I keep it.
Well, that's why I scan it in, because if I've scanned it in,
I've scanned it in.
and
we
they
scanned it in, but we had them initial the bank stuff.
We did
and
too.
That way, we have a hard copy as well as a scanned copy.
oh,
That's why we keep them there.
I can just pull up the scan copy, print it off, and now I've got a hard copy if I need it.
Yeah.
Well, we're still holding on to it, so it's no big
Okay,
deal.
yeah.
Like you said, either way you have it.
It's just the difference in the offices.
Every office does it a little bit differently. I've always held on to it.
The only form we quit doing was that extra piece for head of household.
Yeah, we stopped.
The,
We
the,
stopped
that extra
that.
due
We stopped doing
diligence.
that a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's the only one we don't. I mean,
It's actually even hard to find on
No.
the
we had
on the
old
form
ones,
library.
but
And the only form that we do different at our office that they don't have here
Yeah,
Is-
that one you initial.
is our
Yeah.
is our client acknowledgments form. And we do it with every client. We have them go over it. We have them initial it. We have them fill out the bottom. That way, there is no way any client that we do a return for can come back and say, "Hey, you didn't tell me how much I was going to pay for it. You didn't tell me that there was a $50 fee. You didn't tell me this. You didn't." We go over all of it with them, and they initial next to all of it.
and then on Deep Blue, we photocopied the back of a little card thing, and then we make them sign it at the bottom and
And that goes in
And
our
we keep
deep blue
that.
folder.
it goes in our Deep Blue book.
Yeah, we have a grid for that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go
yeah,
Well, that and like when you guys do checks,
we have that too.
We have-
you write a check log out. We
through
take
that too.
when they come in to get their checks, we take their driver's license, set it with the check, photocopy it, have them sign the photocopy, have them sign the envelope. We give them the check and their driver's license
Dude,
back.
you're adding too much work. What is
Oh.
wrong with you?
No, it's a
This is how
whole
we've
lot
always
easier to do
done
it that
it.
way. And then
Oh,
we take that photocopy of the check with their driver's license on it and put it in our check log because it has everything on there.
And what ID we use to prove who they were.
Because it's got everything on there that you would have on a check log anyway, except I don't have to sit there and I do this. I do click, click, click.
Yeah,
Sign,
but we
sign.
Get maybe one check a year.
Yeah, we get.
Ooh, I think we did 5
We
checks.
got
I think we
more
do
last
less
year
than 10 a year.
I've ever
So.
seen, yeah.
All right,
That's on
let's see here.
non-English speakers, honestly.
What else have we got? This is all basically at the ERO level. We're doing this automatically as far as keeping these records that they're talking about because we're scanning them all.
Yeah.
And we're uploading them to the cloud. That's part of the reason why our file cabinets aren't holding as much
Yeah.
because we're giving the documents back to the clients as fast as possible. We're not holding on to documents the way that we had to. Heck, we're even asking our clients now whether or not they want to do if they want a paper copy, and we make a note on our folder saying, "Hey, they were fine with the digital copy.
Yep.
Don't print it." Because it used to be we printed everything.
Yeah, we don't give them
We got tired of printing them and then them not coming and picking them up.
that.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, no,
We give ours out the day they leave.
Well, we
no, we don't. We print off basically what we did for them in the office at that time.
Right.
That information, the return income or the return verification sheet, has a line item copy of the 1040. It's not the actual federal 1040, but it has a line item of everything that's on the 1040, and that's what they leave the office with. If they ask for a copy of the 1040 right then and there, we tell them we can't actually give it to you until it's been accepted by the federal government and the state. Then, if they want it, they can either come in and I will print them off a copy, or if they've given me an email on their on their client data sheet, I will download and email them a PDF of their 1040 and their K40 to that email.
Only if it matches with their data
Oh,
sheet
yeah.
info was.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it'd be different.
You can't call me up on the phone and say, "Hey, I got a new email. I want you to send me my stuff to this email." No.
Not happening.
No.
If I have it on the client data sheet that you signed and approved of when we did your tax return, that's the email I will send it to. And that's the only email I will send it to. And no, I will not confirm with you over the phone what email you put on your client data sheet.
Or
I'll
the
confirm
dollar
it with you in
amount of the
person.
refund.
Yes.
After you show me a photo ID.
If you come down and show me a photo ID, I'll make any changes to your return you want. But I will not do anything over the phone.
And by the way, all of this available through the portal.
Yes.
We just send them a link to the portal.
Yeah.
We don't do all of that.
But we do give them the option if they want a paper copy.
Yes.
We ask that question. Do you want a paper copy? And if they say yes, we'll print it. After it's been accepted.
If they say no, then I write on the top, portal.
Yeah.
And I highlight it. And Shane knows.
We don't have to
it
print
off.
that one.
Just,
Oh,
just click it over to them.
we don't print it off, period, unless they specifically ask for a copy.
Which is basically the same thing that
Same
we're doing.
thing, we just do it a little different.
We did it
Yeah.
backwards.
We ask in advance.
Yeah, we don't even ask. if they don't physically say, "Hey, I'd like to have a copy of this," then we don't. Now, if during my interview with my client, I know my client is needing to make sure that her taxes are in order or their taxes are in order because they've got a child that's going to be going to college or something, and they're going to need tax forms for FAFSA or something like
Yes.
that,
At that point, I'll print them off.
we will inquire.
But we had a lot of people that had filing bankruptcy this last year too.
Yeah.
So the IRS does acknowledge all transmissions, just sometimes the answer is yes, but no. So if the answer is yes, but no, that means that they haven't accepted the return, you're not considered filed. And like I said, you've got you need to take care of that as fast as possible. Sometimes it's up to the client. Heck, they might not come in for another month. Not my problem.
Yeah, if we get a rejection and we turn around and we call the client and say, "Hey, look, you rejected back. IRS says you need a 1095-A from the healthcare marketplace. We need you to bring it in so we can file your return." If they take a month and a half to get that document and bring it in, that's not on us.
And we make a note. We make notes on every time we talk to the client. That way they can say, "Well, you never called me." No, I talked to you back on April 15th.
Called you this day. Called you this day.
I had one client that I pulled up her stuff because she wanted to set an appointment with me to do this year. I said, hey, you realize you didn't file last year? I didn't. I said, no, we called you about the 1095A. Oh, crap. You know, she forgot.
Yeah.
But we got it both done. It happens.
Yep.
And you can see when somebody's been, when you open their, you're able to see, was it accepted last year? If it's closed, we know they picked it up, or it was sent to them through the portal, or whatever. I mean, there's different ways to tell.
There's different statuses that you can see that tells you everything you need to know.
Yep.
That's usually, we do all of that usually before any appointments start coming in.
We start taking a look at that too. I always look at the appointment book, especially for ones that I'm going to be seeing later that day, and I look at last year's information real quick.
We
Yeah.
pull a client data sheet for the person. whose
That's what-
appointment's
that's
coming
what I
up
started
during the
doing
day.
this
Yeah, and then this year they started making client data sheets that I could print out pre-filled,
Yes.
and we were doing that.
And so I was putting what I want Joe to do. I put it on her desk. Here's this appointment, this appointment, this appointment. Same with him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
Well, there was just three of us.
you will
at
find
that
Shane
time,
and I
so
are
we
not
didn't have
trying to hog
that
everything.
sheet.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it on your desk expecting you to come in, and guess what? You now have this appointment, this appointment, this appointment, because they didn't specify who they want.
Yeah, and I'm not hogging the returns. It does
No.
me no good to know how to do everything, and you not know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't do me any good.
Absolutely not.
No. If you want to, at our office, if you want to do a return, knock yourself out. Do a return. Now, if it's a Schedule C or something like that, and you're
You're
first
not
year,
ready for that yet.
you're not ready for that.
No.
If you want to come and watch me do one, super.
I'll
You
walk
know,
you through.
If you've got a return, you know, that's a client comes in, they got a bunch of stuff, and it's going to be a Schedule A. You want to try the Schedule A. If I'm not doing nothing, go ahead, knock it out.
I'll walk you
I'll
through.
sit and listen to it, and if I start hearing, you know, that you're kind of running into trouble, whatnot, I'll come over and I'll sit down and I'll help. I won't take over a return for anybody. I will walk you through a return, but I will not take over a return for anybody.
Unless the client is a jackass.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you have a disgruntled client, either Shane or I are gonna jump in.
yeah. If you have a client that starts nitpicking the parameters on the refund transfer bank documents and wanting to know this and that and that and this and
I did
Last
and-
year.
We don't have that. What I'm talking about is when I have a client
I
come
got
in
scared of them.
and starts cussing at me and telling me that we're all a bunch of effing idiots,
yeah.
and because we're during off season and nobody knows what's going on with the other person, and I told them, lose the attitude or leave.
Well, I had a lady come in. It was after off season. It was like June. I had a lady come in, and we've got a nice big thing on our door, just like you do. We're open all year. And she walks in and she says, "I don't know why you have that on your door. You're not open all year." Am I not open?
Yeah,
Well,
we
yeah,
are.
but that's not all year. I'm like,
Yeah, it
It
is.
does not say 24/7.
I said, my sign doesn't say I'm open 5 days a week. My sign says I'm open all year. After tax season, I'm open 1 day a week.
Right.
As long as I'm open 1 day a week,
You're open all year.
from January 1st to December 31st, I'm open all year.
Mhm. With the exception of
Why are you
holidays.
coming at the off season?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we can't afford payroll
But
for.
we will not let a client talk down to you,
Yeah.
No,
be rude to you, cuss at you, nothing.
no.
One of us is gonna step in and say, what?
Yeah, I've,
Either lose the attitude
Or
or you can
there's the
go.
door.
I've got notices on all 4 of my desks
And
because
I
we.
do too.
I've done that. I've taken Matt's. I tightened it up a little bit, but basically it's the same thing.
I've got notices on all of my desks that say if you do any of this, you will be asked to leave. If you refuse to leave, I will call law enforcement and have you removed. At which point, you will not get your tax return done by Liberty Tax. Period.
Because the next thing that's going to happen is
Yeah.
that I threw somebody out. I'm calling Rock.
Yep. Or
Because
I'm
they're- I
calling,
guarantee they're going over there.
or I'm calling Pawnee. If they go to one of the other 2 Liberties,
That's their problem.
that's their problem. But
Yeah,
I do have the phone numbers for the other 2 Liberties. And if you really piss me off, I will call the other 2 Liberties and give them a heads up.
I won't. Let them have them.
That's the vindictive part of me. I be thankful that we don't cross-reference with H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt, because I'd spend the next half hour on the phone with everybody in the metro area and let them know this is what's going on. Prepare at your own risk.
All right. So identity theft is a serious crime,
You
and
think?
it's a serious problem.
Yes, it is.
And we will get tax returns with. There'll be at least one fraudulent W-2 that we won't catch because it looked pretty good. But it'll reject for a different
Some
reason.
reason, yeah.
But most W-2s that are fraudulent give themselves away.
Yes, I post them in our office.
We do
I
too.
was gonna say, can you keep track of?
Yeah, and we will let each other know. Like, we had one that when I went to print it, because it always kicks over to Adobe, it was a pre-fill.
Yeah,
I could go in and change everything.
Mm-hmm.
That was a dead giveaway.
that was a dead giveaway.
It was red.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
also a
another
dead
dead
giveaway.
giveaway.
I had 2 of them over the last 2 years that came in and they just sent in the PDF, and it was the whole thing: the red, the 3 copies, the instructions on what to send to the IRS and the
Yeah.
Social Security Administration. Everything. The
We
whole
know
thing was
Said
right
they
there.
had one and they could go in and change the numbers.
That's what she
and-
just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you keep a copy of those? So
We,
that
Oh.
that's
can
what
read
that bulletin board back there has.
Yes.
There's a bulletin board at the back room.
And our bulletin board's in the front office.
Yes.
You can see it when you walk in the door.
Yeah, I post them.
We
Yeah.
call it walk sheet.
Matt has a billboard of shame. We kind of try and keep it a little bit more low key, but I see his motivation for doing so.
We had one client that brought stuff in that Matt Shane figured out it was an empty field.
That was that Schedule A or that 1099 NEC.
Yeah.
Well, that was that group too. though.
Yeah, your address was an empty field because we already were suspicious, and so we started looking for reasons to believe this person.
Yep.
Couldn't
Well,
find
that's-
any.
The
that's
big dead giveaway was the 1099 NEC that was presented was red.
Yeah.
You'll never have that.
No.
That's the copy that goes to Social Security.
That's the one that.
And generally, our people doing fraudulent returns are the ones basically beating down the door first. These are our January people. Very rarely past the middle of February where you get something like this because one of their biggest problems is I have to beat the person whose Social Security number this actually is. I have to get there first, so I need to be early.
Yep.
That's where we get a lot of the children on the wrong return.
I did have a guy that contacted me, I believe it was mid-March last year. He wanted to do everything remote. He was in a bad hurry to get it done immediately. And it just so happened that it was the same company that we had our other fraudulent W-2s from.
Early in the year.
And I was like, nope, I'm not even doing that.
Yep. That's the one that you sent over to me, wasn't it?
No, this was a different guy.
No, because we had
You had a female.
yeah, I've got a female, but then we had
Then I had a male.
a
and
male
then
from
I
the
did
same
this
company.
guy did- well, maybe I did send it.
You sent it over to me because he sent in that, he sent in his lease agreement,
That's right.
he sent
Yep,
in
yep.
his kids'
That was him.
information,
Yep, that
he
was-
sent in his driver's license. I'm an asshole. I
Yep.
will take that W-2 and I will call that employer and I will request an employment verification.
Yep.
And they'll be like, and the weird thing was the company that he was doing this with was a payroll company. So not only did they check their database for their employees, they checked the database of every single company they do payroll for. And he showed up nowhere in that. And I'm like, well, I have all this information. Would you like it?
They said yes.
They said yes. So I emailed all of the information that was sent to us to them. I do that with every fraudulent W-2 or 1099 that we get.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we just said, Suzanne.
Yeah.
Are you not paying attention
No.
over there?
That's not what I was gonna say.
So IRS is also monitoring for tax identity theft. So IRS could send a letter. I've seen that a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Typically for us, we realize that there's an identity theft issue when we've got the clients there and we file their return and it rejects back and it says one spouse or the other already filed a return.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's our number one key indicator that we've got a problem.
Yeah,
And I had that happen before.
and then we have to have them alert the IRS that there's an identity theft. They
Yeah.
have to call the police department and file an actual police report.
That
Then
was-
we have to file their return paper because it won't accept because of the tax problem that originally rejected on.
And then we have to put in the affidavit of identity theft with the return that we're
Yeah.
paper filing.
Now I had a client that his was, he had gone to a different preparer, not associated with Liberty, and she went behind his back and had him filed it. Now how she did that without signatures, I'm not sure, but that's what happened.
So some warning signs: a return is rejected because the IRS code indicates that it was used on a previous tax return. You can look up on a rejected return. There is a place where we can look up and find out the reason why it was rejected.
Mm-hmm.
I had one
We'll
come
teach
back.
That's
all
why it
of
was
that
rejected.
to-
Matt did
we'll
it.
teach all of that to you,
Yeah.
Sharon. What's that? I said, we will teach all of those tricks to you.
Yes.
Sorry, three people were talking at the same time.
Yeah. If a return rejects, especially for like a dependent, the return rejects, you can usually tell which dependent it is by the social security number that they list.
Another reason is the IRS is saying, well, you know, hey, we got multiple, or our taxpayer got notices over returns that they haven't filed, or amounts that they had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
IRS notice says that the client received wages from an employer unknown to them. Or, hey, we show that you had a W-2. Where is it? And they know for certain. I worked at Boeing all year. I know I didn't work at Target Shake. Oh, there's a clue.
Yeah.
So now you do that. I mean, we have to, right?
You'd have to go through, again, yes, you'd have to. You have to respond to the letter. Basically, again, back to identity theft affidavit. What the result of all of this is now the IRS is going to start issuing you an IP pin.
Yes.
Every January, a letter will come out with your IP pin for the year.
And they like to tell you liars.
And we will notify our client that this is going to happen, and we will tell them in January you will get a letter from the IRS. Please do not throw those away.
This year, for sure. We told you last year, don't do that. I don't want to put
All right, so be careful when you're on the computers here at work, or especially, I don't care where you're at. Be careful when you're on a computer. Don't just randomly click links,
No.
especially if they're emailed to you. Don't. Because they're really good about changing things. I'll change one little character in here, and I might actually use an A, but it's a different font. It's a different A. Can you catch it? Just don't click things that you didn't ask for.
That's what hangs up at our office. And it's there for everybody to see.
The IRS does not initiate contact via email.
What?
Nope.
Why not?
No.
You get an email from the IRS, unless you ask for it, it is probably fake.
They text me all the time.
Right? No phone
Well,
call.
that's a
nothing?
text. You
No,
said
they
email.
will always initiate contact with a letter.
They'll never text either. They will not text, call, email, nothing.
Everything
Explain
they
that to some people.
You will get a letter. The letter will have a phone number on there for you to contact them, and there will be an identification number on the letter that you will have to give to them before they will even discuss anything.
Actually, you also have to verify information off your
Yeah, you
W-2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1040. But
Your 1040, yeah.
so, like I said, the IRS won't do anything unless you got a letter. They're the branch of the government that's keeping the post office working.
So, let's say you don't receive it,
Take it.
because it got sent to the wrong address.
It's possible.
Well, I mean, because I get other people mail all the time.
I know. So it got your problem is now that there's an IRS action against you, you have no clue because you never got it.
So did they send out a second one?
They can.
Or will it take them a year?
No, typically they would. Usually there's between 30 to 90 days, typically 60 days, to respond to an action.
And when they,
Then they'll reissue. And by that time, you might have filed a new tax return with your new information on it. Which then they will then mail a letter to that address.
Yeah. They
So
will,
eventually you'll probably
that's
get
what
it.
I was gonna ask about the change of address one.
You can do that online at the IRS.
But if you, let's say you forgot to change or do that, your next year's return that has your new address on it, that automatically changes it.
yes.
Would.
You wouldn't need that form.
You wouldn't need to unless, like you said, you're outside of the USPS automatic forwarding system because that only goes for 6 months. And it's only 6 months. I thought it was 6 months.
6 months is the last I knew for forwarding an address.
Yeah. So really, there's very little time out there that you would actually be not in contact with the IRS. But if you were one of those people that, you thought maybe, perhaps, or you're in communication with them, yeah, you need to file that. So, like Matt said, there's a form for this. If you think your identity's been compromised, even if it's not been at the IRS level, grab that 14039 form and file it with the IRS.
Yes.
We've told people to do this that typically have their dependents claimed by the other parent on a regular basis.
Yep.
Because they'll get there first, and they shouldn't have. Okay, well I can head that off at the pass. File this form. Now the dependent has an IP pin, and only the custodial parent is the one with the letter.
Because even if the non-custodial parent goes on the IRS website, requests an IP pin by mail, they can't put in an address. It will be mailed to the address on the last received tax return. So if mom's sitting at home and she's got 3 kids all with IP pins, and she gets 3 letters in the middle of January with IP pins, and all of a sudden at the beginning of February she gets 3 more letters for IP pins,
She knows what happens.
she knows what's going on. He's trying to get the IP pins to claim the kids.
Oh, and he tried to change the address probably, and they just automatically sent it to
They
her.
automatically say, and now she actually has some proof to go back to the police and say, hey,
Yep.
he's trying to commit fraud.
We had one lady whose husband or ex had turned around and gotten ACA insurance on their daughter in his name in the state where he lived. So when she came in and filed her tax return, it rejected back for a 1095A. Well, she wasn't the one that filed for the insurance. Marketplace wouldn't give her the 1095A. He filed it. So we had her get an IP pin for the kid.
Anderson.
So now it doesn't matter if there's a 1095A. If he puts her on there with the 1095A, it rejects back because there's no IP pin. We put it on and we put the IP pin in there, even if there's no 1095A on there, because we've already listed this as a reason why we got the IP pin, it'll accept.
So an IP pin is a 6-digit number per person
Per year.
every year, renews every year. Last year's number is not next year's number.
In our system, when you're on a specific page, and I'll show that to you later when you do a return, if that box is green, and you've asked them, hey, do you have an IP pin? And that box is green when you get to that page, they had an IP pin.
The previous year.
So they need
They need one.
Because once you basically start, you can't stop.
Yeah.
The IRS letter for this is CP01A. That has the IP pin on it. Typically, it shows up around the 15th of January.
Yeah.
Maybe a little earlier,
Maybe a little later.
maybe a little later. Typically, most of your clients, especially early days for them, probably threw it away.
That's why we remind them every year. Don't throw anything away from the IRS.
Yeah.
And if you're scared of it because it says IRS, don't open it, just bring it in.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
let us have the heart attack. As Brenda would say, don't even bother to open that letter. It says from the IRS, don't even bother to open it. Bring it to me. Let me have the heart attack.
Yep.
And I agree with
9
that.
times out of 10, they get it on a Friday.
Yeah.
If we tell
And
our
then Monday's a holiday.
we tell our clients, if you get a letter from the state of Kansas or the IRS, don't even open it. Come see me the next business day.
Yeah.
We'll open it together. I will walk you through it. I don't want you sitting at home freaking out
Yeah.
over the weekend
Because it says you owe $10,000.
because it says you owe this and it might not be true.
Yep.
Leave it closed. Bring it in. We'll open it. I'll go over it with you. We'll rectify it. When you leave the office, you'll be a lot happier.
Yeah, I love it when it's, your refund is being adjusted in the
Credit.
going up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're like, wait, what?
But and a lot of the times, the problem with the letter is it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, half the time it's hey, you forgot this W-2, we've made the correction. They hadn't issued the refund yet, so they've adjusted the refund, this is the new amount.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that's what it is. Or it'll be something stupid like, you've claimed 3 dependents on your tax return, please send us information proving you have the right to claim those kids. Which We typically have all that information already.
Yeah.
already done
We've
that.
gotten it. We've gotten that information when they filed their tax return. We print it off.
And send it
We
in.
fax it
You
in.
know, we
Right there.
hold on to that, and it's something that some clients actually hate us for.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some clients that won't do business with us because we ask for that proof up front.
Yep.
Why?
And that's
Because that
usually-
way, when you get the letter, we already have it all.
And that's usually a telltale sign that,
That they
they're
probably
trying to
shouldn't
claim
be doing it
somebody
anyway.
that's not theirs.
That's the client I don't mind. Oh, you don't want to. You don't want to provide the proof. Well,
Nope,
okay,
there's
you
the
know.
door.
One of my kids came back to Broadway as being kidnapped. He
What?
came rejected for coming back
Yeah.
as a child was kidnapped.
He filed at
And he
H.
didn't come back either.
He filed at H&R Block the year before. He was a Schedule C client, and when we went, and he left us his return from the previous year. And when we went through the return, that child was listed as having been kidnapped. On his return, he listed that child as having been kidnapped, and when he provided the birth certificates for both of the dependents he had on the return, he was not listed on either birth certificate. And we simply
He listed it, him as being kidnapped?
no, he listed one of the dependents that he was trying to list on his tax return through us
The
was
rejected.
listed the previous year as being kidnapped from his H&R Block return. On his H&R Block return, that same dependent was listed as kidnapped. So before we filed the return, we called him back because he dropped everything off and left. And we went through everything, and before we filed it, we found it. And we called him back and told him compliance has ordered us to, told us that we need these following documents, birth certificate, everything. And he brought in 2 birth certificates. Well, he wasn't listed anywhere on the birth certificates. And when he brought those birth certificates in and he's not listed on there, we gave them back to him and said, we can't use these. He's like, why? I'm like, because you're not listed as the father. You are nowhere on this birth certificate. You have given me nothing to show that these are your kids.
Now,
Can't
if
claim
you
him
would've
as a
come back
dependent
and
if you
said,
can't
well, I
prove
was
it.
married to their mom. I need a marriage license.
Yes. Yeah, if he said that I was married to the, I'm married to their mother.
Yeah,
Well,
but you could still claim a stepchild
yeah,
and a divorce.
I
Yep.
think that's what he was doing, was trying to take her kids without her knowing.
yeah, because he was filing head of household. He wasn't filing.
But you can claim, if your child has been kidnapped, you can claim that child for the rest of your life
And get
and get credit.
And get credit for it.
Hey, mister. How's it going?
All right, so
What
we're
you
also
got?
safeguarding taxpayer data, so we're not leaving files on the desk if we're not using them.
No.
If we're not using them, they're in the back room. We don't leave them at the desk. No reason should there be more than one person's tax return at your desk at any one time.
If you're finishing up a return and another client comes in and comes over to your desk, ask them to have a seat. You'll be with them
Okay,
shortly
so
until you
what
clear that
this
previous client's.
is
And most
Because
clients
you
will understand.
filed
Since
late.
they started coming over to my
You
desk and
didn't
saying,
file
"Oh wait,
on
hold
time.
on,
they're hitting you with
you know,
penalties.
give me a minute. I got to clean up this,
They're hitting you
have
with
sensitive
penalties.
data."
Yeah.
They're fine with it.
Okay.
They actually like
So
that.
This was
Yeah.
the original
Yeah, I'm taking.
RVO.
I'm looking out for you.
All right, then they added
All right.
in a penalty of
Also,
$3,779.
We keep things if
Then
like
they
we said,
added in
right here, it's
another
locked back there.
interest payment. of
Paper that we just don't throw away that has sensitive
$1,796,
information on it. We shred it,
Which brought it to 17,000.
which drives me nuts because sometimes we get a big stack of shredding.
That is what you need to pay.
Shred it.
We don't have a shredder at our office. We just have stacks of boxes of paper that need to be shredded.
Okay.
Why don't you have a shredder?
We
Let me
don't
see
know,
what it
we
was.
have 2 offices, we never got one.
Broadway and Rock Road have never had shredders.
Broadway didn't have because the original owners of both of those offices subscribed to a shredding service
Yeah.
that didn't get renewed. Where our original owner was kind of a little bit more shoestring, so we actually have a shredder. You might as well go out and buy one. What the hell do they cost? $63?
I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know. Our previous franchisee used to have a shred party every year.
And on that, like last year, I cleaned out a whole bunch of files, old files. I just called shred it.
They were supposed to come out, but you know how that.
Yeah, because I told Brett last year that I had like 42 boxes, that need to be shredded? Because I've got hard copy files going back to 16
Yeah.
in that office. I would like to get rid of all of it.
Bonfire. Oh.
Hey, if I lived out in the country and I still had my truck, that might have been what had happened to all of it.
So, also, somewhere in the back room, I know exactly where, but I'm just saying this, is a binder that says if we have a breach.
Whisk.
Yeah. IRS is requiring that every office has a information data breach protocol. What to do if something happens. And one of the things we've got to do is call the IRS. We've got to call all our clients. But we do have something in place. But most of our information is fairly secure. We don't do tax returns on computers that aren't hardwired. Shut up. I know. At least here. You're not supposed to. But then again, I go home and do it because, because I need to.
Well, sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have a choice. There was one, yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
So we avoid it as much as possible. And even that Wi-Fi node is actually the password encrypted anyway. So,
I've never seen it, so 8 years, never seen nothing.
yeah. We've been fortunate.
They're saying he owed 11,000. He said he owed 12,000.
Next year, what else do we have to talk about? Like I said, we already have that contingency plan. Everybody has their own password and username, at least to sign into Liberty. Now the computers have all the same username and password. That's just the computers. Per office, yeah.
This number here.
Their offices have different passwords on the computers than ours does, but that's okay.
Well, our main floor
No.
has the same.
Okay, then how do you look at it in terms that they're doing that in another office if they call you?
Because it gets uploaded to the cloud as you do it.
If he gets more.
So it goes into the Liberty system, and I can access the Liberty system. But the trick is on that one is like, okay, Suzanne calls me and says, can you take a look at this return? I can't be in it at the same time.
Right, I have to
She
completely
has to-
back out.
She has to sign out of the return, or actually I can
They
kick her.
me out.
I can
Yeah.
kick her out, but get out of the return.
Which we do occasionally, and always it's a giggle.
Yeah.
Like, get out of there.
Yeah.
You want me to double check it again? I can read it.
But as you go, it's saved to the cloud. Every time that you exit a form that you just entered, it's saved to the cloud.
You ever run into that when you do double check though, where you have to boot somebody out?
Yeah. Because they didn't sign out of it properly.
Right? And
Well,
they'll
maybe
say,
because he got a phone call,
Well-
he had to pass it on.
That or I'll do a return. I'll have it all done. I'll be signed out of it, and I'll send it to Amy to double check, and Amy will get back into the return within 5 minutes of me signing out. And it actually hasn't had time for my credentials to completely sign out, so it'll pop up and say, Matt's in the middle of this thing. She knows I'm not because I'm already on another client. So she'll just say, yeah, kick him out, and it'll open up for her. But yeah, at the bottom of every page that you do on our tax forms, there's a button there that says save. So when you get done with the taxpayer information, you're going to click save.
Every page.
And then you go to the next tab.
So-
And when you get done with that, you'll click save. And every time you click save, it saves it all to the cloud.
You're gonna send this letter,
Thankfully.
okay?
All right. So don't forget that everybody on a tax return must have a tax identification number.
With this amount
Or
right
don't put them on there.
$5,025.49. Okay?
Don't list
That
the
is
minutes
minus
that don't
the
have one, or you're not going to get it to
12,039.69.
transmit.
Out of this amount here that you've
Even
already
though
sent.
technically the
Okay.
Canadians and the Mexicans
They
don't
haven't
need
processed
one,
it
but
yet.
at the moment there's really no
Because they
point
were
in
shut
putting
down.
them on there.
Now they're back open. I have
So,
no idea
like I said
how long
before,
it's gonna take.
My Canadian clients, they have children, I don't put
Well,
them on
they're
their tax
back open
return
now.
because there's no
But I
benefit
have
doing
no
it.
idea
Well-
when they're gonna get around to processing your return and credit that check.
Not quite open
Okay.
yet.
So I would go ahead and send them this amount And
Let's
then
see here.
if you overpaid, then they're gonna send you money back. If you underpaid, then
That's
they're going
actually
to ask
old
for more.
information.
Okay?
Um,
And if you get another letter, just come see me,
Don't forget that
okay?
some tax credits are
Shouldn't-
restricted to people that have Social
Shouldn't
Security
get a letter
numbers
saying
only
that he
now.
underpaid unless
Well,
they
they're
attach
saying that he
unless they
owed-
attach more penalties and interest to it.
They're saying that he owed less.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Unless
I did
unless they
look
attach
like
more
Social Security
penalties and
numbers,
interest,
except
he
they start
shouldn't get a
with
letter
digit
saying he
9.
owes more.
Right,
Digit
right.
line?
Well,
Yeah.
you said less.
So, you know,
Oh,
where mine
sorry.
starts with a 5, it would start with a.
All right, if you
All
have
the
any
rest
questions,
of them,
call.
it's the same
Okay, we're
format.
gonna be
It
closed,
just starts with a 9.
the week of Christmas through the new year, just so you know.
So if you
But
get
call
a
anyway, because it will ring
if
to
you
my
get
cell
a
phone.
social security number that says
Okay.
963-97-2215, that's an ITIN.
And we can't use those this year.
We can still process the tax return. They're just not going to qualify for a lot of credits.
Right, okay.
If there's kids on the return, they won't get the earned income credit, they won't get the
Unless
child
there's-
tax credits,
But they can still file.
but they can still file.
Yeah, no, that doesn't mean I can't file a tax return for that. I mean,
Right.
And I used to say, the IRS isn't going to think on somebody who's using an ITIN. You paid your taxes. They don't want to think on that guy. Well, those rules are gone.
Well, they don't want to think on that guy, but they're also not willing to give that guy any. They're not willing to give that guy any of the credits they feel American citizens should have. Because if you have an ITIN, you may not actually be a U.S. citizen. Because if you were, you'd have a
You'd
social.
Security number. But that wasn't what I was saying. Some of those lists got turned over to ICE.
Yeah. Oh, did they?
They think down on. So to get a Social Security number or ITIN or something like that, you got to file a W-7.
And we used to be able to do that, or
There used to be, a long time ago.
what's the weird other form that we can file for someone? I'll never mind, I'll figure out what it was.
Problem with the W-7 is that you have to send identity documents in, and that means, for instance, that you've sent identity document in, and you mailed it to San Antonio. And Lord knows how long it's going to take them to get it back to you. So ITINs do expire if they're not used on a regular basis. So, like, you have to redo them on a regular basis. So, like,
They do have one on our system, and supporting tools, an ITIN application.
yeah, but we're not an acceptance agent.
So they have to be enrolled in that?
Yeah, you can print off the form, you can fill it out for them, but they've got to jump through the rest of the hoops. I mean, I can't fill out the form, it just means that I can't file it.
You have to do a tax return to file.
That- You know, it was in
No,
my brain
you-
on that, but I.
Well,
didn't
that's
get
part
that.
of it, yeah. But even at that, not necessarily guaranteeing that they're going to be issued one.
Right, so it's
Actually,
a
it's
temporary.
Right.
They said 8:10.
So you might have to send in those proof documents.
But still, I mean, at
Or
the very
find our
least,
starting
he's
or find an
probably-
ITIN
because of the way
acceptance
we're,
agent.
we're having him
This is-
send
It's just
payments
like
in,
our opening
he
page.
shouldn't
Yeah.
owe any more.
It should be pretty.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it should be pretty close because we've told them that he owed 12, and he paid the 12, and
I'm
we
not worried a lot about
subtracted what
ITINs
he
because,
paid based
I mean,
off of their whole
like you said,
numbers.
As long as you keep filing with them, they keep
And
staying
then he's paying the
active.
difference on that. So at the end of the day, that whole number that they
So-
said he owed,
A child that gets an
He should-
ITIN, will it ever be able to be converted
but he
into?
shouldn't really because
Yes.
he would have
If they
paid that
become
extra
citizens.
$550 already.
Like, it's not
You-
low.
Heck, even a
Another
client,
track
you know, so like my client that I was telling you about earlier, who used to be the driver part of the trucking company. You know, he could jump through the hoops and become an American citizen and get a Social Security number.
Yep.
Don't know how you do that anymore because they don't seem to, you know. You need to apparently give a down payment of $1 million to buy the special card.
Black
No, you have to have the golden trump card.
Yeah.
I thought it was black.
No, it's gold.
Oh.
It's Trump. It's gold.
Oh.
He doesn't know any other color.
Let's hear it. Reporters even tried to say all of that gold that he put up in the Oval Office was from Office Depot.
All right, so the last thing I'll talk about here, just roughly, because again, this is a specific training module. When we do the training, Circular 230 is our guide for ethics. If you have any ethical questions about what you're doing, about what you're hearing, refer to Circular 230. All right, so one last thing that I want to talk about here real quick is homestead, and this should not take very long.
Do you have a plan?
My
And-
Monday clients are coming in to sign. I don't know when, but I've still got a few minutes before I have to leave.
Oh, the one that as soon as he's done, so there's no point in sitting there.
Yeah.
Homestead package.
Oh, the new ones?
Since you're sitting around, you might as well learn something.
How's the solid?
All right, so homestead, in case you don't know what it is a refund of property tax paid on your house. But you have to be able to qualify for it to be able to file for it.
Yes.
What does it take? Well, for a homestead, first and foremost, you must have been a Kansas resident for the entire year. You must have income of less than whatever the number is for that year. For this one is $42,600.
Is that single or
Oh,
married?
gotcha.
That's household.
That's household.
I just got it.
Total
I
income.
had to
So not only do I have to include mom and dad, I have if Junior's working, I have to include that too.
Sold it to
So
somebody.
what if you're renting out a room to somebody? Do you
So
have to
I
have
didn't know
your
that. So we finally figured
Yes,
it
it's
out.
Yes.
rental income. It's business income.
It's
Well,
total
no,
income.
no, not that way. Not that way.
What do you mean?
If they're working and
No.
you're renting out a room, do you have to count their income?
No, they're not a member of your
They're not a
household.
member of your
Okay.
household.
You just
yeah.
have to include the amount of rent they're paying you
Right.
for that room.
Yeah, my neighbor's trying to find another senior
All right. You must have owned and occupied a home in Kansas during the year.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense. It's a Kansas tax return or Kansas refund. Your house can't be worth more than $350,000. Yeah, that's not a problem. There is also, in addition, you must also meet the following requirements. You have to be 55 of the age. You have to be 55 or older.
Yep.
For the entire year, by the way.
Yes. So like last year, you had to be born before January 1st of 69. I was born September 1st of 69. Technically, I was 56 years, or
54.
55 years old on the last date of the tax season for 2024. But because I wasn't 55 for the whole year, I wouldn't qualify.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem
The
either.
IRS would list my age as 55.
Another thing that could help you qualify is that you're blind or permanently disabled.
Yes.
That age is not relevant.
Yes.
Or you have a dependent child who lived with you the entire year that was born before the start of the year. So they had to live with you the entire year. Newborns don't count.
And when you're thinking dependent child, think qualifying child for the IRS.
Yeah.
And as long as they're under the age of 18, that's fine. If they're over the age of 18, they have to be disabled. If they are permanently and totally disabled, you're getting SSI payments, SSDI payments for that child, and that child is living with you, and you're under the age of 55, you still qualify.
Yeah.
Because the child is disabled.
Yeah, the child's the one that qualifies you. All right, disabled veteran or the spouse, the surviving spouse of the deceased member of the armed forces who died in the line of duty, or a deceased or surviving spouse of the deceased member who qualified for disability benefits.
That's how I did
and not remarried. So that's the homestead core requirements.
Is there a maximum age?
No.
There's also another little tax rebate form that's a little bit more powerful, but it's even a little bit more restrictive. They call it sometimes the Safe Senior K40PT. Instead of K40H, it's the K40PT. To qualify for this, you must be 65 or older by the first of the year. So you have to be 65 or older for the entire year. You must have been a Kansas resident for the entire year. You must have owned a home in Kansas. You must have household income of $24,500 or less. And of course, your house can't be worth more than $350,000.
No.
So those are the two tax forms that we're dealing with
Not
when we're
yet, I'll
talking
still
about
bring it on
homestead.
in a few minutes.
One is more powerful, but it's harder to get to. The other one
Okay.
is more general, but we'll find out that it can
Okay.
be a pain.
The way I
Love you too.
qualify for homestead is because I'm on disability. But
And
the
that's-
only reason that kept me from getting it for so long is because, like I was telling you, my contract for deed was bought over by another man, and we didn't know that. Well, I didn't know that. So Matt and I got on the phone and found out, through the link we can look up, and it says it's in process, blah, blah, blah. Well, we called the gentleman that Shane told us about, and he instantly, give me this, give me that, and well, okay. So I had to call the bank and get the new deed contract from my bank that's holding my escrow, and then I was able to submit that to that gentleman, Bob, and then he did it all, and then within 2 weeks I got that check.
And not to be the asshole of the group, but you actually qualify on your own without anything else because you're old
I'm only 60.
and you only have to be 55.
To qualify
Well,
for
yeah,
homestead.
but the main part of it's because of
You
my
have to own your home, though. That's
She
the
does.
thing.
But she had to
But
prove
she's a
that she-
contract for deed.
Yeah.
They will try and throw that out.
They do
Right.
every year, and we fight it every year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you have to prove, you have to own the house.
Oh, the reason why I get it is because I pay my property tax.
Right.
That's the reason why.
Right.
That's
That's
the other
what
thing, is you
qualifies.
have to be able to prove that you paid the property tax.
And
Not the person that you're buying
Right.
a house
Right.
from.
and from her escrow, she's listed on the escrow paperwork for that address as the buyer.
And we had to
So
get that changed, so that was easy.
with her being listed as the buyer of that home and she pays her own property tax, and she's over 55, she qualifies.
Qualify, or if you qualify for Safe Senior, you get a straight 75% refund of property tax that you paid. All you have to do is just qualify, you get 75%, no questions asked. Rebate.
So I got 5 years for that.
If
Yep.
you're on homestead, it's a lot less straightforward. You get a percentage based on your income. That is actually that page there that you have your pin on. Is this one here. So you can see at your income levels what percentage of property taxes that you paid that you will get back as a refund. The more money you make, the less of a percentage that you get.
And Kansas does help out a little bit in the fact that they only count half of total Social Security benefits. So if you get 20,000 in Social Security benefits for your annual benefit amount, and your spouse got 20,000, and that was your only income, you would have a household income of $20,000, not 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still made it on this one, it's 42.
Right.
Now at 40, they would get 5% of what they paid.
Right, but if they each had 20,000 in Social Security and one of them had a pension coming in and was getting $30,000 in pension, they wouldn't qualify for anything. They'd be over.
Yep.
Because the pension would count in full.
Yeah, I've had this. Got this okay.
So here's our form. This is backwards. I want to do this one first. Here's our K40H. Putting in the name and address. Basically, in this part, you're not doing. This is not a joint return. So put down the name of the person that qualifies you.
I always put the head of household.
That's possible, but if you're head of household, it's not
But
the
a
reason
lot of
why you.
times they're single people.
Yeah, head of household. Yeah, that's what you need to do because it's your dependent that's qualifying you. However,
If you're filing a joint return, whoever's name is on the deed as the owner is who is the primary taxpayer.
and if it's a joint return and one of you is under 55 and the other one's over 55, put the over 55 one here. If it's joint return and joint owning.
Yes. Yeah,
I've never
we
seen it.
we ran into that problem one year. We had a couple.
Well, it'd be my wife and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
just broken
No, I'm
down.
not saying, I've never seen a couple
Yeah.
yes, we had
file
one.
for it, but I know, but I didn't do it.
We
That's what I'm
we
saying,
had a
I've never
couple.
seen it.
We had a couple came in and filed a tax return. He owned the property, but she had Schedule F income from goats and whatnot that she raised and sold and cheese and all of that. So she was listed as the primary taxpayer, and her husband was listed as the spouse. We didn't know at the time that the house was only listed in her husband's name. So when we sent it in, they sent her a letter back saying, you don't qualify, you don't own the property. So we had to turn around and amend the return to list him as the primary taxpayer and her as the spouse so they could get the homestead.
All right, so looking at the form, it's not very complicated. First up here is we're indicating basically why we qualify. Whether it's because of age, or dependency, or disability. Coming down a little bit, like we said, we are including wages or adjusted gross income, Kansas adjusted gross income, plus 1/2 of our Social Security benefits, plus if you got earned income credit last year, you have to put that in here also.
Food stamps, Section 8 housing,
You have to
leave,
include all of that.
all of that.
But just so you know, if they're over 65, they don't have.
On the property.
Well, that's true. But
Yeah.
if you're getting food stamps, if you're on leave,
They don't do renters for homestead anymore, they
No,
used to,
thank
but
God.
not anymore. Because everybody qualifies for it.
Yeah.
well, everybody could put in for it. If you
Renters wouldn't qualify for, because they don't pay taxes.
Well, the
Well, it
argument
was
up
a leave
until the
of
time
rent.
that they took it away, which was, I think the last time was
2012,
2012.
I was gonna say, it's been a long
It's been a long time. The argument was, well, technically part of my rent helps the landlord pay, and so therefore I should be entitled. That went away. Because that form used to be complicated because, okay, you're going to say that, well, I have to know what's included in your rent. Is it the utilities? Is it the trash service? Is that, and then on top of that, then the state had to send a letter to the landlord saying, are they current? Did they
Yeah.
do this? And then the landlord had to respond to it. And meanwhile, everything's on hold until the landlord actually responded.
If they
and
do.
if the landlord decided he didn't want to share any of his property
Homestead.
tax, homestead, whatever, any of his property tax, because if they sent you the homestead claim and he said he paid $10,000 in property tax, and they send out $8,000 of homestead claims to renters, they reduce his $10,000 in property tax by $8,000.
Which is part of the reason why they got rid of it.
Yeah.
All right.
And part of the reason why a lot of landlords never responded to the letter. And they knew all they had to do was throw that letter in the trash when it came in, and the state would automatically deny the claim.
So here we have our total household income. Then we come down here and actually do the figuring for the refund. The back of the page, like we said, is that not only do we have to include child support, food stamps, and other things as income to help us disqualify, we also have to include the members of our household and their income to help us disqualify, basically. There's a lot of ways that they were getting their ways out on that. But most of the time we are getting the senior citizens in here. They have no dependents. Nobody else is living at their home besides them. They usually qualify for at least a little bit. Now, our other form, The K40 PT, a lot simpler to deal with. Again, we're putting down the social security number, the name of the person who's the reason why we're qualifying. And then again, this section is the same. We're doing a lot of the same things as that we did on the homestead. The same income counts. The same food stamps, the same assistance, all of that counts. What changed down here is the refund. It's a straight 75%. It's that simple. You paid $1,000, you're going to get a check for $750 if you qualify. And you can qualify. And so you qualify for one or the other. So if you're over 65, if you don't qualify for PT, you still qualify for H.
And the limit on H is 700.
Yeah, there is a cap on H.
Now, on the other one, I don't know.
Rarely, I
I
don't. I don't
haven't
think
seen
there is. Not aware of one.
Well,
Besides
they
the
only
fact
get
that 350,
75%,
yeah, 75%, then
So it doesn't matter.
and your house is worth less than $350,000. All right. So the last thing that we want to cover about this is real simple. If you do not file this by April 15th, don't bother. Either you file for the homestead by April 15th or you don't get it at all. There's no extensions. Even if you file an extension on your Kansas tax return, no. There is some exceptions. Again, they better start with, I was in a coma. Otherwise, they're not required to give it to you. You may be able to make a good argument.
And they're stickler for proof on these.
Yeah. They will research this. The state will double check what you paid Central County.
And when I got that letter, I gotta take to my tax person. I don't.
All right, so any other questions? Well, we've finished. Not too bad. Don't forget, for those of you that really are gluttons for punishment, I am offering a rapid class the week of the December 15th.
Well,
Huh?
it's during the day. You won't be available.
Why?
Or do you normally do it before Christmas?
I try to do it before Christmas. That way, people that took the basic class can get refreshed on it again, especially because I don't think they would probably have taken the test yet. So it's a great review.